yes.
That was profoundly sexual, and I don't know how to deal with it. Hello and welcome to episode 125 of the MisanthroPod. I'm Snipe, and as always, I am joined by Wib. Say hello.
Hello.
I am also joined by the lovely drummer Matt. Say hello.
Hello.
How are you, absolutely darling gentlemen, doing this fine, incredibly warm evening?
I'm fine, apart from the aforementioned heat, which is not great in our incredibly warm flat, with all the windows closed and no fans on us because we can't do any of that while recording a podcast.
You see, I was literally, I think I was messaging Longfang when I was out and about in 25 degrees heat, having a scalding hot latte, being like, God, it's so warm.
You are too Australian to function.
Do you remember we went out like last year and it was like 33 degrees and I was like, Christ, I need a coffee. And you were like, I am actually concerned about your health. And I was like, that's fine.
Like, there is something inside you that is just broken.
Yeah. I mean, I get... Wow.
This is like a fridge in there or something.
I thought you were like talking like emotionally. I was like, Jesus, being read to filth. Oof. Anyway, Drama, how are you doing?
I was going to
Is
say
something
okay,
inside you broken?
How are your insides broken? Yes, no?
Yeah, they're all right. They're cooking slightly. I'm sat here in a vest, so I mean,
I'm
use
sat here
your
in
own
flamingo
judgment.
Hotpants.
Noise.
Wait, are you just wearing a vest?
No, I've also got like orange shorts on.
I was hoping that you you're wearing like a really long vest. Like,
Yeah,
it's a
looking
nice
like-
slinky kind of like
Looking like a 3-year-old in the summer.
Just where they've got their dick out or
Just
whatever.
wearing a vest and no else running around the garden.
I've got a photo of actually from when I was a kid, and it's just me in like I think it's just a pirate, a cowboy hat and a cowboy scarf, and then shoes, and that's it. And it's like, yeah, I want that energy like all the time now.
To be fair, I would pay for like images of adult men dressed like that. So
I think it's a look that does need to come back, to be fair.
yeah, it's a dick out kind of look, but you know that you're carrying it with confidence. You know what I mean?
Sun's out, buns out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sun's out, guns out.
Yeah.
God, so many people want to touch my muscles. Also,
How are you, Snipe, by the way?
I'm copacetic, honey. I'm fine.
Okay.
I've gone a bit heat crazy.
Before we go anywhere, though, I do have a few little things to mention. A couple of thank yous straight off the bat.
You're welcome.
Which is that a group of lovely folks under the banner of Grox Inc.
At Grox, GROXINQ on Twitter.
They are a group of people that put together little like care packages for like content creators and send them little things.
Which is absolutely fucking adorable and wonderful and pure and great.
That grew out of like sort of a bunch of people that like follow our stuff and the 40k people stuff. They sent us a new graphics card and monitor out of nowhere.
In the time of fucking shitcoin.
Yeah, like I don't know what they had to do to get access to any new graphics card.
Yeah, I am concerned, but yeah, they brought us a lovely new graphics card so I can play Resident Evil 8 on stream, and that has been... I'm still not finished process. I still haven't processed that. That is so incredibly generous and thoughtful.
So yeah, just huge thank yous to them. My God, hecking flip. And on a similar note, a lovely chap called Bensib, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, sent through you, Matt.
I was not involved in this espionage. It was fine.
Sent us some, 40k stamps.
Like rubber stamps.
For ink stuff, as well as an actual Snipe and Wib one that you stamp it and it's like... what's the proper wording of it? Let me find it.
I'm so glad we're prepared.
approved by the Snipe and Wib entity, and then it's got the artwork that's used on the podcasters for us, and our winged logo. So yeah, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you. That was also incredibly generous.
When they sent through the thing a while ago saying, I want to send this to them, but is their PO box going to open soon? I was like, that is the coolest. We'll work something out. Like that is the coolest thing.
Also there were some purity seals in there as well.
Yes, very, very beautiful purity seals.
Yeah, no.
So let this be a lesson to you. If you want to send me, I don't know, the giant Chewbacca Squishmallow, just get in touch with Drummer Matt.
No. We don't have...
I am joking.
Because we don't have room in the flat for it.
No, we actually don't. Oh my god, it's great, but fucking hell.
You are one Squishmallow away from us having to have an intervention.
Ooh, make it a big one then.
Yeah, I gotta make it a good one then, don't I?
Yeah, but once that happens, then you that would be the last one you basically could ever have.
I want the giant Chewie. He big.
Okay, one final thing.
Happy Pride!
Yeah, Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Right. It's Pride Month. If you are seen being non-gay, non-aro, non-cis, if you aren't a part of the LGBT community, you are now illegal for one whole month. Ooh, also, aro people, ace people, they are also involved. They are proudly part of the LGBTQIA plus community. Same with intersex people. And no TERFs at Pride. We fucking hate you. Go die? Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that sums it up quite well.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Matthew.
I'm not Matthew.
Yes.
What have you been up to, my friend?
I'm afraid I've been doing bugger all.
That's okay.
But I did finish Kingdom, and I know I've mentioned this for the last 2 podcasts, but it's just it's really good. Like, if you haven't listened to me badger on about it for the last 2 episodes, and you're going, I'll check that out later, go check it out now. It's really good.
We'll wait. This podcast is like 6 hours long.
Go do it now.
We'll just hang out. It's really good. There's been 2 series of it, and it's just the production value on it is so beautiful. Like, all of the shots, like, yes, okay, there's zombies and they're like using giant Korean swords to behead zombies and there's blood flying everywhere, but it's just they all look like paintings. All the scenes. It's just so beautiful. Yeah, it's really, really good, and it's a really satisfying story. Go watch it. Even though it's zombies, you won't regret it. Unless you actually don't like watching zombie stuff, in which case, fine. But if you're just bored of zombies, don't use that as an excuse, because it's still is.
Why don't you just look me in the eyes and tell me to go fuck myself, Matt?
Well, I don't want you to do. Well, I mean, you can do that if you want on your own time. But...
I was going to, but now I don't want to because you've told me to. No, I'm just...
Wait.
Well, now I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, go watch Kingdom. It's great, and it's based off a webcomic I just recently worked out.
Oh.
Yeah, like at the start it says based on, I can't remember what it's called. It's like Kingdom of the Gods. I can't remember what the actual title is. But I just assumed that was a book, and I was on the Wikipedia page because we were looking, because there's only 2 series on Netflix. So I was just checking if there's going to be more, and there's going to be another special, which I think probably wraps up things.
It's going to be the OVA. It's the beach episode.
I'm now really thinking of if we're going into an alternate reality where the webcomics from the early 2000s all start getting adapted into things oh yeah, we're just gonna have a fucking Bigger Than Cheeses movie and a White Ninja Comics movie, hopefully a Dresden Kodak movie. That could be interesting.
Okay.
I've made a handful of people go, wait a minute, I know those words.
Didn't XKCD did do a movie? It was called Primer, and no one fucking understood it.
I do not believe those 2 things are associated.
No, but I look at that and go, very smart, difficult to understand, XKCD. Yeah. I remember Drummer Matt just going because Drummer Matt, if you all don't know, is a certified fucking genius. He's so smart, he's not even in Mensa. And he showed me this fucking comic once. I think we were visiting him down in uni. When we were recording an EP, and we slept in his bed, and Dicko was snoring so loud, Drummer Matt walked up 2 flights of stairs and slept on the end of his own bed like a kitty. It was adorable.
And you can still hear Dicko two stories down. You can
still hear him, yeah. And I've forgotten what I was going to say. Wait a minute.
XKCD?
Yeah, and he was like, hey, check out this comic, it's so funny. And I was like, it's Stickmen talking about maths. That's literally all I could see. I couldn't figure out shit. It was like, oh yes, don't you think the fucking Fibonacci sequence looks like a boot? I don't know. I know the Fibonacci sequence is not. Before anyone fucking starts, I am not a maths. I cannot do a maths, and I refuse to.
A quick thing.
Yes.
A quick thing. So I've put forth the idea of a Dresden Kodak movie as my preferred thing. For any of for like old webcomics, which ones would you like to see adapted into either a series or a movie?
Well, I want to see Oglaf, but that would
I was going to say Oglaf.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have you seen today's Oglaf? Or like the other day's what the fuck was that? I love it.
I like that the dick
have not...
has a dick.
Yeah, okay, no spoilers. Wib hasn't seen it.
I have not read that one yet.
Yeah, but there's a giant cock in it. Shock horror.
Shock horror.
Cock
Oglaf,
horror.
the porn comic that is very funny.
I love Oglaf so fucking much. It's so good. But yeah, so what would yours be? You say Dresden Kodak?
Dresden Kodak. I need to go back and read that because from what I hear, it did go off in like a completely strange angle after a while. It had very interesting kind of art back when I used to read it.
I don't like. I used to read like a furry porn comic called like it's like Selena Online, and it was like a skunk.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah, it was like this. The artist. Well, it wasn't like a porn comic. It's just it had sexual elements, and the main character Selena, who was a skunk, she worked like IT for a porn star's like personal porn company, and like this. I think her boss was like half skunk, half tiger, and her name was like Zigzag.
Okay.
And yeah, and I just thought it was cool. But like I couldn't tell you what the story was because it was literally just like, oh, Selena the skunk is a bit of a shy nerd who is good at IT and only uses Amigas, like the system, and she works for a very sexually open porn star who's running her own business, and that's it really. And then she gets like a nerdy boyfriend at some point, and it's like, okay. And Zigzag also gets out of the shower once, and all the blood vessels in her left eye have burst, so she's got like red sclera. And then she's like, "Oh God, what do I do? I have to like, I have a porn shoot to do at like 10 a.m." And then she's like, oh, "Let's make it pirate themed." So she has an eye patch, and I can't remember anything else about it.
For some reason, whilst you've been talking about that, the concept of a CW-produced Control-Alt-Delete adaptation appeared in my head.
Why would you fucking...
And now I it's such a cursed thought.
Yeah, I was wondering whether I could mention that just to listen to your reactions, but...
That's mean, Drummer Matt.
From what I've heard, Control-Alt-Delete is actually kind of doing all right now. So, yeah, kudos.
Penny Arcade is just like, well, you're just old guys now, and you kind of tend to agree with like the status quo. You tend to agree with like, it's like, I don't know why everyone's being mean to EA. They're just it's that kind of liberal bullshit, which I know I know they're not being deliberate dicks, but occasionally they have some kind of just really irritating eye rolling takes.
Let's just say, I think. In our own personalities, we have outgrown where the Penny Arcade guys haven't really moved from for a while. So, it happens.
It's one of those things.
But yeah, Matt, do you have any thoughts on that?
And if you say any variant of a fucking Mega Man comic, I am going to walk to Bristol and fucking choke you.
Well, I don't think I know any.
Those fucking things were everywhere, and they all sucked, and they all had Supersonic in them for some reason.
Snipe, remember that Matt isn't as chronically online as we are.
I was the chronically online one in my my games dev class, like to the point where Lars the Halo man would literally keep turning around and go, "How do you fucking find this shit?" And I'm like, I don't know, it's just kind of there. And when the Halo fanatic is like cussing you out, you know you got a problem. But yeah, Drumble Bumble.
I think SMBC.
Yes.
I feel like he writes a comic that could be adapted into a film at least twice a week, sometimes more.
That's actually very true.
You start reading one, you're just like, oh, this is there's more of it. Oh no, it's 15 panels. Oh no, it's still going. Okay, wait.
Like, Zach, you drew this in a day. Are you okay?
Like, how is it so high quality all the time?
I don't. That dude is a fucking machine.
Yeah. And yeah, seems to be pretty good opinions-wise as well.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, seems like
I also like how his last name is Wiener Smith.
I mean, yeah.
He smiths the weenies.
But yeah, you were talking about Kingdom before we derailed it.
Yeah, based on a webcomic, which I only found out when I was reading the Wikipedia. I was like, oh, I need to read that. I haven't yet, so who knows if that's any good. But very good series. Go and watch it. If you don't, I'll keep mentioning it every week until you do. So
yeah, you specifically.
You
Catherine.
Specifically.
Yeah, you fucking go watch it, Catherine. We'll wait.
But yeah, that's me done.
Mm-hmm.
Who's next? I've forgotten.
I
had so much to say, I can't remember what's happening next.
Honestly, it's been a fucking time. We are all sitting in our skivvies, being warm as fuck. I went out today in booty shorts.
Nice.
I was wearing like a full body fucking like stocking, but that's beside the point. I actually kind of was.
You're basically wearing a fucking Dune still suit.
I was
with booty shorts outside.
I was wearing a fucking like neck down flight suit with flamingo booty shorts on the outside.
I'm just imagining fucking Stilgar, but with a pair of hot pants with juicy written on the ass.
Oh no, on the ass it's just, are you nasty?
You nasty. Stilgar was pretty nasty.
Oh, he nasty. But yeah, because I don't like showing off my flesh. Flesh. I wanted to say flesh because then I know it would make people uncomfortable.
Shall I talk about the things I've been up to?
No one cares.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I care.
Okay.
Oh god, well why don't you just marry him if you care so... Oh wait.
Wait, I will. You got there first.
I love it how it's like... my favourite joke is, hi, I'm Snipe, and this is my husband Wib, and this is Wib's husband, Drummer Matt. I love it.
Anyway, I've played some video games.
Fucking loser.
Nice. I know. Shocking. I have sort of my main thing. I've started finally trying to properly play through Disco Elysium.
Oh yeah.
Especially like.
Is that one with a really creepy like digitally painted face?
Yes.
That smiles?
Yes. The smile. So I know I've talked about it a bit before, so I won't go too deep into this, but I'm actually trying to like give it a solid go at beating it this time, because I tried a while ago to play through it, but I got distracted by other things and I didn't really stick with it, because it's the sort of game that it requires your attention.
You need like assumed ADHD like I have, where I hyperfixate on something and play it for 14 hours straight.
I mean, I played it for like 5 hours straight the other day, so...
Amateur.
I mean, I did start at like fucking 9 o'clock at night, so you know.
Okay, so
it was about as far as I could do it without getting into a real unhealthy territory.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I've been playing through that, which it's sort of an RPG adventure game, I guess is a good way to put it. That's set in a sort of fictionalized past.
Isn't it alternate like 1980s kind of thing?
It's sort of a bit vague on when it actually takes place. It's like it's like they've had disco happen.
Speaking of Pride Month, disco, very important to the gay movement.
Yeah,
which is why the whole kind of disco sucks thing was basically just hand in hand with intense homophobia.
Yeah, it did tend to go along with that. Yeah.
Which is fuck that. That's stupid. Pride.
Yeah.
Bit of queer history for you.
But yeah, so disco happened, but it's like a different thing. It's set in a place that had a communist revolution that fell apart, and now there's sort of there's sort of like a little pocket that's technically run by unions but owned by a sort of weird police. You know, there's technically a weird police force that you're part of, and you know, companies are running everything. It
sounds kind of like cyberpunky. Because like
it's a bit diesel punky, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of I'm thinking kind of like the societal makeup of kind of like corporations, literally.
Not really.
No.
Not like that. I wouldn't say so.
Okay, I mean, just the way you described it to me.
It's. I'll put it this way: it's hard to succinctly describe it, partially because it is a very complicated sort of setting.
Okay.
Intentionally so, like they haven't gone for the easy things, because like. Just to put it out there, the people that made the game, when they stood up to accept a game award, were like explicitly thanked Marx and Engels. Just in case you're wondering where they come from politically.
God, why do they got to make everything political? Am I right?
And you can literally like decide that you want to be, and I quote, the big communism builder.
Nice.
And it's it's talking about you're playing as a character who has lost all their memory, but rather than it just be a typical kind of amnesia like story beat kind of thing, you as a character are constantly having dialogues with other parts of your personality. So like your electrochemistry is constantly telling you that it wants to do that you should do drugs.
Okay, so is this is not how everyone else's brain works?
Having actual conversations?
Yeah. No, because, like, I do this occasionally where I'll catch myself, like, I'll be like, oh, God, if only I had, like, this for a sandwich. And then a part of my brain will go, you could use this, and I'll say out loud, damn, that's a good idea. Why didn't I think of that? That kind of thing. Which they don't like in Subway.
People conceptualize thoughts in many different ways.
I like to just walk around the house just saying random things. It actually helps me think.
I know, because there's that whole thing about being able to like visualize things like as a physical thing, like being able to think of images in your head.
Yeah, like do you hear your own voice?
Yeah, and like some people hear and some people hear their own voice. And I do both those things. I can conceptualize and I hear my own voice, but some people don't do either of those things. Some people do not cannot like
visualize anything.
Like if you ask them to like imagine a
cube,
a thing to draw. Like it doesn't...
Okay, just tell me to go fuck myself.
No, it's actually there are some artists that don't like because to me like as someone who draws, like I imagine the thing how I want it to look in my head and then try and replicate that. Whereas there are some artists that don't have their thoughts don't work like that, so they have to go a different route. And I find that fascinating. That even the basic like building blocks of human like experience are not universal.
Yeah.
Which is kind of getting very into Disco Elysium's kind of ideas, I suppose.
Oh, cool.
Because it's truly...
Let us know what kind of thinker you are, because that's actually very interesting. Because I'm kind of like, I'm a bit of a hybrid, but I tend to kind of talk very quickly into my own brain. If I'm trying to figure something out, I will talk to myself in my own head.
Yeah, I don't talk to myself. I do have like my own. I have like my own internal monologue, I guess, for want of a better term. I don't really
dialogue, because I kind of see like there's the different parts of your brain, like the id and whatnot. It's like it kind of does feel to me, at least in my own psyche, that they are slightly separate from me, so I would consider that a dialogue on my part.
Okay, yeah, because it doesn't really manifest to me.
Okay,
but yeah, and I do have like that. I do visualize things, which I know is not a universal thing.
Yeah. I'm also quite prone to a little bit of maladaptive daydreaming every now and again. Repetitive use of idiosyncratic language. The whole schmear. What about you, Drummer Matt? What's wrong with your brain?
No, what's wrong? How your brain operates.
No. I know. I'm being derogatory of myself. I'm
deprecating.
Deprecating. I was going to say self-defecating, which is
self-defecating is very different.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
But yes,
Drummer Matt, what about you? I'm curious.
I don't think I hear my own voice.
I do, and it's lovely.
Yeah, no, I don't think I do. But it's really hard. It's such a hard question to answer because I might be doing exactly the same as other people, but I'm like rationalizing it differently or like thinking about it differently.
Yeah, because there's a lot of it's just going to be how you conceptualize it.
Yeah,
exactly.
But I would, if I had to say yes or no, I'd say no, I don't hear my own voice when I'm like thinking. But I do think the word still, but it just doesn't seem like hearing it. I don't know. Yeah, weird.
Can you see like images in your mind? Like,
oh no, I find it really hard to do that. Like, I'd find it. I'd be super bad if I ever have to do one of those police sketch things. Like, if you just said now, like, how can describe what your dad looks like, or describe what Ruth looks like, or something. I'd be like, they have a face. There's probably hair.
Probably
in strategic locations.
But okay, not quite that bad. But yeah, I probably really struggle with that sort of thing. But I have no issue recognizing people when I see them. So it's not like like a face blindness adjacent type thing at all.
Oh yeah, from what I understand, those two things are not related at all.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I do struggle like visualizing things like that.
Interesting, because
it
because it is a thing. Just people just just like I say, conceptualize things differently, and that's really.
But it's not like I don't have
an
imagination or anything like that. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah. So
Disco Elysium inspiring a very interesting conversation.
And I think just the fact that rather than talking about the regular old bullshit we talk about on this podcast, Disco Elysium is a game that made us talk about the very nature of how humans individually conceptualize their own reality. Which I think is really all I could need to say about the game. Yeah, it's pretty great. I will say, if you haven't,
no, that's it. Yeah.
If you haven't played it, I will say it is the sort of game, because it is like it is. Basically, content warning for basically everything.
Oof. All right.
There's a lot going on there, and
it does seem like it's got quite a few layers.
Yeah. I can't wait to get more further into it, because it's also one of those games where it feels like you're not getting anywhere for a while because you're just finding quests and...
So it's like just standard kind of point and click like adventure game where you just go into an area, you absorb all these quests, and then like sometimes, looking at you, Monkey Island, you'll be like, oh, I'm 2 hours into the game and I'm like, I never did that one thing. And then you go back to the area and you're like, oh, I can do that now. Cool.
Yeah, it's sort of trying to figure everything out. And there's just a kind of, I don't know, I find something very kind of part of the thing that has come up time and time again, because you can play your character many different ways. Like, you know, you can play them as a you know, soldier of the revolution, or you can go full fascist, and the game is you know, brave enough to actually call all of these things by their actual names and not by any kind of like illusions or like allegory. It's
very important question. See, I've heard you play this without your headphones occasionally.
Yeah.
Which part of your psyche has got the really deep, sexy voice?
That's kind of most of it.
Oh,
it's most of your inner monologue.
Because I'm just remembering like the id from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It's just like it's like the anger sphere from Portal 2, which is just like I guess.
That's just kind of the guy that does the voice for like most of your
nice.
stuff.
Also, you have a companion that just looks like a gold shirt from Star Trek. I'm sorry. Every time I look over and see him, I'm just like, that's a fucking...
He's just wearing an orange bomber jacket.
No. There's like that guy with glasses.
Yeah, he's wearing...
He looks... Maybe
he doesn't. He like maybe it's because you've not seen it up close, but he looks nothing like he's wearing like a big puffy jacket.
Yeah, no, it looks like gold shirt to me.
He's got like a white patch on the back because that's the symbol for the RCM police.
Okay, cool.
That's like it's something you shine light on and you can see it.
Oh,
you can see stuff on it.
Pretty. You can do like shadow puppets and shit. Like, oh look, a moose. Do you like my moose?
Shadow puppets, fantastic podcast content. Okay, I'm going to move on now.
Is it not universal? The noise that, you know, cows go moo, sheep go bar, moose go moose.
Well, no, they go and then break my fucking ribs.
Yeah, okay.
I'll get back to that. This will be a callback. Put a pin in it.
That was foreshadowing.
That's foreshadowing.
Okay.
Okay. Also,
shadows on my lungs. That fucking moose left.
Also, in video game news, I played the meme game. I played Among Us.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Got a group got together to like play it. So I finally got to play it with like a group of like 10 people. So, you know, sort of.
That sounds real fun. I want to wade in next time.
I don't think there's really anything I could say about it other than it's. Yeah, I totally understand how it became popular. It's just a really fun conceit of a game.
Well, it's kind of like werewolfy and stuff, which I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, if you've been under a rock or whatever, because it was fucking everywhere for a while. Among Us is basically, it's a group of people who are like spacemen on a spaceship, and you've all got tasks to go and do around the spaceship. But while you're doing that, a set amount of you are imposters who will go around sabotaging and murdering the other members, and when someone finds a body or they just want to call a meeting, they can then try and vote for someone who they think is the imposter who will be flushed out of the airlock. And it's about trying to, you know, do it, do your shit on either side and survive. Yeah. the very first game I was in, when I didn't know how the game works, I was an imposter, and it's the only time I was an imposter.
So you have a 100% success rate?
I have a 100% success rate because we fucking won.
My man.
It was very easy to feign ignorance about where everything and everyone was, because I literally didn't know where anyone or anything was.
Good.
Although I will say there was a marvellous part where, the players in question will fondly remember this.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. Where a player was you know the whole rabbit season, duck season thing, where someone tricks someone into revealing something. That basically happened, where someone was like, "Look, you're always following me around, like regardless of whether you're the killer or not. Like you always follow me around." And this goes on for like 2 minutes, and then they're like, "No, look, I just like to follow people around. I just like to follow. Look, stop! I just follow people around. This is like the first time I've ever been." Oh.
See, I'm just like, if I was there, that would have been me, and I would have done it immediately.
And everyone just goes, "Oh," and then hits the vote, and then casts him out the airlock. I believe it was Samus that happened to.
Oh, poor Samus.
Poor Samus. But yeah, Among Us is actually pretty great. I totally understand why it became as big as it is, despite it being kind of... It's from like 2016 or something. It's like actually...
shit, really?
It wasn't like new the other year. But I guess like, where everyone's kind of trapped inside and wanted, like social interaction, it's a game that allows for that. So it's not surprising it got popular, like when it did. And yeah, it's pretty good. Not that anyone needs me to tell them that. And now it means that I actually understand Among Us memes, and I can probably get away with saying one sus joke, and then have people get mad because they don't realise that in the UK we've been saying sus for like over 100 years.
Australians have as well.
Yeah.
It's like, oh mate, fucking sus.
Yeah, it's just a phrase. It's nothing to do with Among Us.
Yeah.
It's not
Among sus. No one's made that joke before.
Anyway, on to televisual entertainment.
Ugh, that newfandangled piece of space-age technology.
I know. So Bad Batch continues to be fucking great. I love Bad Batch. It's good.
I love Wrecker.
It's a good Star Wars. I like it a lot, and Wrecker is my baby, and if they do anything to him, I will go to Dave Filoni's house, and I'll probably... To be fair, I'll probably actually give him a blowjob. I'll give him a dainty kiss on the cheek and say thank you. But I will say, why did you have to do that to Wrecker?
Yeah. Then you'd be like, is there any way I can change your mind? And he'll be like, no, get off my property. And be like,
but
understandable.
Fair,
have a good day.
Because Bad Batch is great. I am liking it a lot.
I need to get through the Clone Wars.
You do. It's that is a good series, and the Bad Batch basically starts at like the level of quality that like the Clone Wars was towards its end. So yeah.
Oh my god! I just realised why you married me. I have a lot of Wrecker-esque personality traits.
Do you ever weightlift with gonk droids?
I would.
Yeah.
I was weightlifting with Milk the other day.
Big Wrecker energy, yes.
Do you like to weightlift? Yes. Do you like to weightlift with Milk? Fuck yeah!
Wrecker does have a cuddly toy too, and you do. You have an obsession with like cuddly toys.
What's the cuddly toy's name?
I'm not going to give you any spoilers because you need to watch it.
His name is Snipe, and he knows so very much. He's so cute.
I also finally got around to finishing watching Sequest DSV /2032 because they changed its name in the last season.
That's such a better name. Ooh.
Well, the original show, I think the original season was set in like 2018, the bright future of 2018.
Don't fucking start.
It was made in like 1994 or something.
So was my brother.
True. Though, yeah... you deserve that disgusted response for describing it like that.
I horrified people on Reddit because it was like, oh, what was the most awkward interaction you had with your parents? And I was like,
oh,
okay,
God.
Okay, you want that? My father literally, when I was like 13 years old, made me stay up on a school night from midnight to 5 a.m. talking in gruesome, disgusting detail about the night he lost his virginity.
It's not really surprising you don't speak to your parents anymore, is it?
No. he was like, "Now you see, you want to squeeze on a man's penis," and I'm like, "Okay, Dad, I'm 13." Like, just turned like 13.
Like, please stop this. This is,
He was like, "You see, I basically got on top of her, had sex, and then fell asleep. And then she woke me up by squeezing on my penis." And I was like, "Well..." I like how I'm making him sound like a fucking, like, stiff upper lip British man, but he's just a fucking piece of shit Aussie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was pretty fun.
Yeah. Sequest is not like that.
I'm so glad. Let's keep talking about that. Also, apologies to everyone. Sometimes, and I am aware of it. Oh, I dropped my pen.
Oh, god damn it.
Sometimes
it has been a while since you dropped your pen on mic. It has to be said. So well done, but it would be solved entirely by. Oh fuck off.
What the fuck was I? I don't know. I got a really nice pen, actually. It's a Jelly Roll, but it's with a G.
I'm going to talk about Sequest now.
Oh, yeah, sometimes I run my mouth.
Yeah. So you don't say.
I hide it well. Very occasionally, I'll just have like a bit of a runaway tangent. Yeah. Not often. So I'm
really?
sorry, everyone. Be aware that whenever I talk about my Dark Past TM DLC... it's because I can joke about it now, so please laugh with me, help me heal. It's very silly, and also they're dead. They're not dead, but I'm sure one day they will be. So everything's good.
I just said that every joke I want to make is way too dark.
Yeah!
Yeah.
It's finding a balance.
Yeah, Sequest DSV was a series that I have described in the past as Star Trek The Next Generation, but wet.
I didn't know they had a Riser episode of Sequest.
It's like they might as well be in space, but they're just in a submarine. Like they have lasers. They go to different quote unquote planets that are just different like nations, not new nation states that have arisen. From like the change around of like how the world is arranged.
I like it. You could change it to Space Quest DSV and it would be exactly the fucking same.
You literally could. They go to science stations and have shenanigans. There's fucking aliens show up. So they meet gods a couple of times, but like you go to fucking TOS and that happened like every Tuesday. So
didn't they in the animated original series Star Trek cartoon the devil just shows up and high fives.
Yeah, Lucian. Yeah.
Just shows up.
And he's
Shahal, God of the Morning Star, blah blah blah, all that shit.
Yeah,
and he's just like, "Hey kids, I think women deserve rights," and it was like cut because it was just too shocking.
But he's like the fifth godlike being they'd met at this point. Like it was. All I'll say is that when you actually think about it, TOS canon is the one that is the hardest to like fit in with every other series because it's just so different. No, it is just like I like TOS a lot, but it's so different in tone to everything else.
But yeah, I'm sorry for interrupting you. I know I don't do it very often, but I wanted to apologize. Okay. Sequest DSV is Darwin the boy in it?
Darwin is still the boy. Darwin the talking dolphin. So the final in the final season. Okay, so at the start of the end of season 2. If I remember rightly, they end up in like a fucking on another planet.
Does that planet have a sea?
It does, yeah.
Oh, that's fine then.
And then in the next episode, like the first episode,
is there a sea between the two planets?
No.
Oh.
What?
Shenanigans happen. It's the thing.
More like sea.
And then eventually they end up getting back in season 3, but like there's a time skip, so they've skipped forward 10 years into the future, which by then makes it 2032. Hence why they renamed the show to Sequest 2032. And the original captain, who was the bloke from Jaws, is replaced by Michael Ironside.
I was like, oh no, they didn't replace like that guy. Oh, it got better. I fucking love me some Michael Ironside.
I actually think that they're both good in their own ways. Season 3 is a bit more serious than like the previous seasons, despite also being absolute nonsense because it's a very silly show.
Well, I mean, sci-fi typically tends to have some very silly elements.
Yeah,
so
but there's a particular type of silly that came from like TV sci-fi in the 90s.
Also, like kind of cheese.
Yeah, cheesy. Like I like it. I find it a very comfy show to watch.
Like cheesiness is a value neutral term.
Yeah. But yeah, it was, and so I finally got through the end of it because I'd like stopped like halfway through the last season the last time I talked about it, but I finally watched the rest of it over the last couple of days, and yeah, it's a fun series.
Do you get to see a boob?
No, it's not that kind of show.
I want to see Darwin's boob.
Well,
I mean, he is kind of naked on screen all the time.
He is naked on screen all the time. He's also a puppet.
I love how he's a puppet.
Voiced by Megatron.
Frank Welker. Welker.
Yeah, he's voiced by Frank Welker.
Not the fun Megatron voice.
Not Beast Wars. Yes. Megatron, who's the best.
Love it.
But
who was your favourite Beast War?
My favourite was Dinobot, obviously.
Dinobot is fucking legit. Drama Matt, what about your favourite Beast War?
I'm not sure I ever watched. I know.
Beast Wars is a surprisingly good show that looks like shit now.
Yeah, I also really liked it when they were in their proper animal forms, but they barely ever were.
They were in their proper animal forms all the time.
No, they weren't.
No, they were. It was actually a plot point that they couldn't remain in their robot forms for very long.
The fuck am I thinking? Because I remember like there was the white tiger dude who would like show up every now and again and just be like super like basically just Yasha in and be like sup. And then fuck off.
Yeah, he was. If I remember rightly, he didn't want to be part of like the binary of like the Predacons and the Maximals in that.
Yeah. Also, the fucking intro music for that was so boss.
I don't actually remember the Beast Wars.
It was just Buckethead bullshit.
Okay.
Yeah. Squeedleys and Meadleys. God, I'm showing my fucking age.
Yes. But yeah, SeaQuest is a bit of fun. If you want to seek it out, feel free to do so. If you're into like if you like the sort of comfy feeling of like Star Trek: The Next Generation, then SeaQuest might appeal to you. It's not as good as it. Its characters aren't as like iconic as it were.
What's Dom DeLuise's son's character's name?
Oh, he has two sons in it.
Oh,
one of which is called one's called Piccolo and one's called Dagwood.
Dagwood, he is baby. I love Dagwood. He is my baby sweet boy.
Dagwood is great. And
could you please take the stand?
He literally picks.
He
it up.
literally takes the stand. Such a sweet
I've talked about him in the past, so I won't reiterate myself. But yeah, if you think that kind of if a sort of like kind of silly but like not too heavy, sort of
light sci-fi entertainment,
light silly sci-fi from the 90s sounds like it appealed to you, and you never watched SeaQuest DSV, give it a shot. Although I will say on the modern DVD release, 2 of the episodes are missing because they accidentally put on 2 of the episodes twice.
Fucking hell.
And this is not like they did it on one run. This is so widespread it's literally mentioned on the Wikipedia page for SeaQuest.
That is grim.
So there are 2 episodes I haven't seen, but I've watched 3 episodes or 3 series rather of SeaQuest, so I think I've got a pretty good handle on the show.
Yeah. If you bought a DVD which is meant to have all the episodes on, but there's been a cock up like that, are you legally allowed to like download it somewhere and watch the 2 episodes that you haven't seen?
That's actually an interesting
point. I say morally, you're absolutely
morally,
obliged
obviously. Yeah, of course.
But then what's law and what's morals? Yeah.
Those are 2 very different things.
Law is morals of rich people.
Yeah. The morals of people with power to instigate wars.
Let's carry on, because I'm just going to get depressed and angry, which I am just. That's just what I've been doing lately, and I kind of want to have a break. So.
I don't know how the law would stand in terms of that. I assume so. I assume it would be
because
fine.
They failed to deliver
if you buy a DVD, you don't own the episodes. You own the right to watch them, but that means. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Copyright law is fucking stupid, and
it's probably not. If we go through and rationalise it, it's probably not that, I guess.
So. Well, don't try and rationalise like copyright law at any time. It's fucking nonsense. Okay, last thing is I started watching a show earlier today, so I'm sorry I only have 3 episodes of it watched, but it might be my new favourite show.
Ooh.
I just don't want to like make you excited. I am being semi-ironic here.
Okay.
So, as people that follow me on Twitter, my long-suffering Twitter followers will know, I have a thing where I like to watch like conspiracy documentaries.
Okay.
And you like to post occasional snippets from it, like the really bad CGI green, like grey alien in like a bodysuit, like the one I went out in earlier today. Like literally unzipping reality and stepping out of a black square and then just like fucking yeeting itself around a living room.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And that's supposed to be taken fucking seriously. It's amazing.
So I watch a lot of UFO stuff, and the thing that got me into it was watching Ancient Aliens. Now I do this for a lot of reasons. One, I find it I find the way in which people choose to convey information very fascinating when they are having to not mention stuff. It's what they don't mention is very fascinating to me. So I have a lot of fun, and I don't know. I find it super fascinating, and especially not to get too deep into it, but how quite often you can see like UFO culture has a lot of like parallels to the sort of faith of the places it came from. So, for example, I can't help but notice there is a bit of a link between how people, like American ufologists, interpret aliens and the concept of disclosure, and how it will completely change the world as being not dissimilar to an evangelical Christian like perspective of the rapture and the tribulations that come afterwards. Maybe I'm just speaking out my arse there.
I mean, that's your interpretation of it.
But this thing is mostly in America, which has a very high evangelical thing, So I find that kind of stuff fascinating, of how it's just swapping out one belief system for another. But
what I find fascinating is that with a lot of these UFO documentaries and Bigfoots and whatever the fucks and skinwalkers, which I'm so sick of fucking hearing being appropriated, but yeah, it's like there's always at least one person there who's like, with a lot of conspiracy theories, there's always at least one of these people who always links it to the Jews. Or at least they dog whistle super hard, and just full disclosure, fuck that. That's bullshit, and I fucking hate it.
Well, that's because like all modern conspiracy theories pretty much all lead back to the Protocols of the Elders of Zion.
And it's fucking
which is a fake document come up with by Tsarist Russia to implicate the Jewish people in all sorts of horrible shit. And it's fake, and basically all conspiracy theories go back to that. It's really bad.
Anyway.
There's a really good Behind the Bastards episode on it if you want to learn more without having to actually go near that fucking hateful piece of shit document.
Yeah, because fuck it.
But I do find this stuff fascinating, and so I've been watching a bunch of it and kind of spreading out watching other things. And so I watched like a documentary about Mothman, the cryptid with the best ass.
Yeah, seriously, like I love. You also drew a bunch of cute little Mothmans, and they were super cute, especially the one you drew in pleated trousers.
I did draw a bunch of Mothman, yeah.
That was so cute. I demand more, please.
Yeah, if you don't know, there is a statue in Point Pleasant, which is where the Mothman legend kind of started. There's a Mothman statue that has an unreasonably well sculpted arse.
Oh, Mothman got cake, you all.
It's fascinating. But anyway, there is a show that I started watching that is less kind of amateur and shit than most of the ones I've been watching, which is an old History Channel show from I think 2007 called MonsterQuest, and it is amazing. They go on search for monsters. So like the first one they go in search of an American version of the Loch Ness Monster called Champ.
We're going to say Chad.
It's an abbreviation of the well, not abbreviation. It's like a shortened version of the name of the place. So it's not, they're not just calling him Champ, like they're calling him Buddy or
like
Bucko.
they're being really like patronising.
Yeah. And it's basically the same thing as the Loch Ness Monster. But what they do is they go out and try and search for evidence for these like these cryptids. But I don't know if you've heard or not, but in 2007 a show did not find evidence of anything. to do with cryptids.
Really?
There wasn't
I'm
earth-shattering news saying that Bigfoot was real or whatever. So it turns out the show found nothing, and you know that going into it.
So it's like the prequel problem.
So you watch it. So they go out looking for this, and they literally find nothing. It's so low stakes.
Are they just
it's amazing.
walking into the woods, going, "Mothman, are you there, mate?"
They go into
Mothman, do you want some rice pudding?
They go into the woods looking for Sasquatch, and a man with a mustache hits a tree with a log for a while, and then they don't find anything.
That just reminds me of my time spent at private school.
Although my absolute favourite one so far is episode 3. They are searching for these giant dogs that are rumoured to be in this area that have killed a lot of wild
just feral dogs.
I'm getting there.
All right.
That have killed a lot of livestock and pets in the area, and a lot of it is based around this one woman who had seen this. She's like, I saw this it looked like a dog, but it was it didn't look right and it was too big, and then it ran off, and she's like, my life was changed that day. And then a few days later, I found its body and I took photos of it. And obviously they're showing you pictures of a dead dog, which ain't pleasant, but you do sit there and go, that's a dog. That's just a dog. That's a dog. It's a dead dog, and so it looks a bit.
I'm just imagining it's a dog that someone's put a party hat on. And she's like, it's just obvious. It's dog-like, but it's not a dog.
It's just like a mongrel. It's just
So the thing is, like feral and mongrel dogs, stray dogs, they tend to look pretty beat up and rough.
Yeah, it probably had a bit of mange. It probably had a bit of mange, and it has been decomposing for a day or so. So it's not in the best shape. And she saved it, and I'm like.
You saved
the corpse of this thing, and throughout the whole thread of it, they're talking about this beast that was spotted, and no one can really explain exactly what it is. There's a lot of debate, and then right at the end of the episode, all the experts that they got in just go, "It's a dog. It's just a dead dog."
I mean, okay,
They talk about dire wolves. They're talking about how wolves and dogs can crossbreed, and we don't know how the animals that result from that have not got a temperament that can be predicted, so maybe they're out there.
I mean, they are, yeah.
And then it was just it's just a dog. So basically the show set out to prove that feral dogs exist, and they barely did.
You see, I am not in Australia, especially when I was growing up, feral animals were a massive fucking issue. To the point where they would teach 6-year-olds about this shit.
Oh yeah, 'cause the ecosystem there's
it's
on
fucked.
a knife edge.
It's fucked. Yeah, and then it gets fucking infernoed every 10 years anyway. So but yeah, so I'm just kind of it's probably a feral.
Yeah, it was so fascinating. The best part is that there was so little proof in this, and bearing in mind all they had to prove was that sometimes feral dogs are big. That's literally all they had to prove.
Or bears are emaciated and tiny.
There's no bears in the area, but there are wolverines and some big relatives of weasels, which I think actually are wolverines as well, that can grow to 4 feet long and are sometimes mistaken for dogs. And coyotes and wolves are in the area too.
Okay.
So,
Wolves, now, if anyone ain't know, wolves are big.
Yeah.
Bigger than dogs.
Yeah.
By quite a bit.
Yeah. And so they're all talking about this stuff, and it's okay, so you're in an area that has at least 4 types of wildlife that could be mistaken for a dog, especially if one of them got
especially if one of them is just a dog.
And if one of them got mange, they can look like a monster dog. And they go this whole time, and the only other thing they have to cling on is they set up these photo traps that take photographs.
Oh, like trail cameras?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were there was this this farmer's horse who had died of an illness, and so they put its body out with a camera next to it to see if anything would come after it. And all they got was deers, another horse. And then at one point they see a black shape next to it, and they're like, "Oh, what's that? What's that? It's a mysterious shape." 10 minutes go by in the documentary while they talk about something else, and then it's after closer inspection, Timothy has made a startling discovery, and then it's the next picture in the set was, it was an eagle.
Oh. Yeah, that sounds like it's very funny missing the mark. It's no, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh yeah, these weird animals can't possibly exist because how the fuck should I know? I have explored approximately 0.0% of the fucking Earth.
All they would,
but also just what they found horse.
Yeah, but
bird.
The other ones are funny because, because they're looking for a mythical beast, and sometimes there is like things where you go, I don't actually have an explanation for that. Like there is some stuff to do with Bigfoot and stuff. I'm not saying I believe in Bigfoot or anything, but like there is some stuff that's shown up around that is like, well, I can't explain it. Doesn't mean there's a Bigfoot, but I also can't explain it.
I think Occam's razor is a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. Whereas in this episode, all they were trying to prove was that sometimes feral dogs are big, and they barely managed to do that. Terrific. That is a shockingly low bar for a documentary series to reach, and they barely squeaked by. It is so beautiful. I cannot wait to watch the rest of the series. It is exactly the type of shit that I couldn't help. It's just the best. Okay. I think I love this show. It's so shit. Yeah. It's so spectacularly bad. It's amazing. And they get on just enough experts that know what they're talking about who go, yeah, no, you're just wrong. Like when they're talking about this, like this champ, this Loch Ness monster type thing, one of the final words is an expert going like, well, the thing is, like, to support like a breeding stock of something, you'd need to have a like bare minimum of 50 individuals, and this can't support that amount of big predators. Like what people have seen is probably just a big fish.
It's just a big dog that likes water. It's a
and then someone jumps in and goes, "Ha! Told you there was big dogs," from like the other episode.
And it's like, you know what? Yes.
Yeah, no, it's on Prime. I don't know if it's on every country, but it is in the UK. Yeah. So if you want to watch a hilariously bad like cryptid show, then go for it. It's so like misses the mark. It's a thing of beauty. But yeah, I will now pass over to the Snipe. What have you been doing, dear?
Oh, I've been doing a lot, but not a massive amount. Actually, I've been up to more than I have usually been. Okay, so fans of the podcast will, that's a weird thing to say, will be aware that I've been on a bit of a Pedro Pascal kick.
Really?
Yeah, I say this every time. Every time. It goes exactly like this. Ah! Yeah, no. Pedro Pascal is fucking legit. I love the guy. He's such a fucking amazing actor, and he seems like a really, really cool dude as well. Also, I like his stupid hair. It's nice. But yeah, now, Drummer Matt, I remember you ages ago on the podcast talking about Burn Notice with the Bruce Campbell.
That was a long time ago.
Yes, okay, it was.
Yeah. Was it on the podcast, or is this his pre-podcast days?
Who knows?
I don't fucking know. What am I, on the podcast? But yeah, I remember you talking about it, on air or not, and I completely forgot all about it. And there was a couple of fair. There's a couple of pictures that surfaced of Pedro Pascal as Comandante Veracruz, as the antagonist in it's like the Fall of Sam Axe. It was like a feature length kind of like Burn Notice episode. I don't know. I just wanted to see Pedro Pascal being a bad guy. And I was like, I need to see this, so I watched it, and I kind of spent the first 10 minutes just like, what the fucking? Because I forgot it was kind of tongue-in-cheek. And I was like, because like, I read the episode synopsis, and it was like, oh yes, Sam Axe, played by Bruce Campbell, is basically sent to, I don't remember where it is, it's like Venezuela or somewhere, to deal with Esparadiente, which is like a local rebel group that's causing trouble for Comandante Veracruz and his bosses and stuff. And I'm like, that sounds pretty, like, well, that sounds serious. Yeah, if we exclude the great white hero trope, that's pretty cool. Okay. And then, like, it starts off with him, like, boning the fucking, like, Commander General's wife. And I'm like, what the fuck? And, like, flirting with the stenographer in, like, military court. And I'm like, what is happening? And, like,
Bruce Campbell is happening.
Like, yeah, it's like, it just made me, it remember My Name is Bruce, excluding the casual racism and whatnot. Yeah. It's just that, but Pedro Pascal is there.
Okay.
It's like they literally like because of course he gets like, you know, pally with a lady, an obvious love interest, standard kind of Bruce Campbell story. And like she's like talking about like espada ardiente. Apologies to any Spanish speaking people that have to hear my garbage pronunciation, which literally just means a flaming sword. And it's literally like a handful of old farmers that have accidentally made themselves look like they're really competent, but they're actually just not. So Bruce Campbell has to go and help the people who aren't white be good. Yeah, it's an older thing. It's probably from like 2018. I don't fucking know.
It's older than that.
Yeah, and like he's like trying to train them, and like the love interest woman, I don't even fucking remember her name. Doesn't matter. And like she comes up and she's like, the men have been talking. They call you La Babilla, which is, and he's like, the barbarian. It's because of my. It's like, no, that means the chin in Spanish. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then like one of them throws a chainsaw and he goes, very groovy, and I'm like, that is so awkward. It did make me cringe. And then you've got fucking Pedro Pascal acting his fucking soul out as this super evil dude who's like, bring me the American, and he's like killing his own man, and it's fucking great. And then there's this Bruce Campbell fucking talking about
Bruce Campbelling.
Campbelling is a verb. Yeah. It's like he's sitting in a car and they're gonna go do the final confrontation. And he's talking to the lady going, yeah, if you want to kiss me now, you can probably do that. And she's like, what? It's like, yeah, you probably want to do that, right? Like right about now. And it's like, Bruce Campbell was like the original Deadpool. Like just really
like, a little bit.
Yeah, there's like a lot of elements there. And yeah, it was fucking weird.
Sounds it.
But it was especially because I had no fucking like, it's going to be this really cool kind of like military. No, it's just what. But yeah, that was interesting. I wouldn't recommend it, especially because it's got a lot of.
It's aged a bit.
It's not aged well. Unlike Bruce Campbell, who was still just a chonky daddy man. But yeah. Also completed a horror game on stream called Those Who Remain.
Yeah, I think we might have mentioned it.
I did mention it, but I also didn't want to talk too much about it because I hadn't finished it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, finished that. Got the goodest ending.
Yeah, I looked up afterwards how you're supposed to get the endings to see like how we got the good ending, and no one seems to be able to agree on the specifics of it. And okay, I'll put it this way. If you follow the guides, they explain how you get the different endings, the most common result I would imagine from players technically doesn't have an ending, so I don't think anyone knows how it works.
Yeah, it's weird. But basically, quick refresher. It is a first-person spooky walkie game with some light puzzle elements it's kind of Alan Wakey in the way that enemies can kill you if you're in the dark. Standard enemies just kind of stand in the shadows, just glaring at you with their shiny, like, eyes. You need to turn lights on to get rid of them so you can progress. There's a couple of, like, big monsters that kind of, like, you need to maneuver around because they can wander through light and dark and they can just kill you. And you have to judge people. So, it's like, you find correspondence between a couple of people, and it's like, so my 14-year-old son helped, like, bully this girl to the point that the bullying went too far and they pushed her into a ravine and she fucking died. But my son's so promising and he's got a good future, and, I've spent a lot of money to get him into fucking Harvard.
More accurately, they messed with her brakes so that when they chased her, she went off the end of the ravine, just because that ambiguity
it's more manslaughtery, yeah. And the thing is, it's very well done in the way that it's kind of like 90% of the time it's delivered in quite a grey kind of area, where it's like, yes, you can understand the father wanting the best for their child, but then you learn more about the dad or the kid, and you're like, and then you have to decide whether to forgive or condemn. And I ended up condemning a good few that they were more obviously just butt fuck evil. And then there's like this, there's also a couple of morality things where it's like, oh, this woman stole a mail truck and crashed because she was scared, and you can save her, or you can let her die of carbon monoxide poisoning because she panicked, went with the other survivors, and then drove away and stole the truck from them. Do you want to open the door and not have her suffocate, or just leave her there to fucking die?
That's an infamous level.
That is just like
moral quandary.
It's like, I could spray all these civilians with life-changing murder chemicals, or I could I could save this puppy from starvation.
But don't get me wrong, I really like the first two Infamous games. I didn't play because there was a third one, wasn't there? The way you didn't play as Cole McGrath, wasn't that his name?
Cole McGrath.
Wasn't that
Cole McGraw?
What wasn't that?
He sounds like a wrestler.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
But yeah, where you played as a different character for reasons that make a lot of sense if you've played the games.
Yeah.
But I really like the games, but also
the moral choice system was very silly.
The moral choice system was just nonsense.
It was very silly. But yeah. So yeah, I think it was an enjoyable. So I'm not going to play it again. The puzzles weren't too difficult, apart from there's one at the end where it's like, how the fuck are you going to figure that out?
There is a couple
that are a bit very, very indie, kind of guess what I'm thinking.
Yeah, like I thought it was a game of lots of very
You can tell it is, like, the devs made it from a place of love. You can tell they really enjoy horror games, and the passion and love for horror games and just horror in general do come out as you're playing it, and it's nice.
Like, the animations and stuff are crazy janky, but, like, it has a lot of ideas. Very few of them are original, but they are assembled in an original way.
Yeah, so it is still very entertaining, despite, like, some jank.
Yeah, the only problem is if you get the ending we do, there's like, it feels like there's a scene missing from your character's motivations.
Yeah,
which I won't go into because if you want to play it, because I do think it is. You know,
I honestly, it pleasantly surprised me. It's not going to like break any fucking records, but it was enjoyable.
It's like £15, and it's I think that's a fair price for like a little game made by a couple of people. Like,
no, can recommend. Another spoopy game I've been playing is Resident Evil 8.
Yes, with the big lady, because you just want to be
the guy who gets to see a giant woman. Giant woman. Every time Longfang and I stream that, we start out singing. But yeah.
Okay, before you get started, I have a question.
Yes.
Big lady.
Yes.
How big is she? Is she like
9 feet tall?
Okay, because I had no context. I've obviously seen like loads of screenshots and people going on about it, but I was like, I don't know if she's just like a normal person but a bit big, or whether she's like a giant, like, you know, building size person. No, she's
fucking huge, and like the castle because you go through the castle she lives in, and you see her having to like basically crouch to get through doors.
Okay.
And shit. And yeah, she's super big, she's super strong, and she's very cool.
Genuinely, I love her design. Like a really original monster.
I love it. And she's also got Lady Deathstrike claws, so you know she kind of flexes her fingers and blades come out. So good. Yeah, I really like RE8, RE Village, whatever the fuck. They can't decide what they're calling it, so I'm just going to call it both things. It's really cool.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So I know that you really liked the remake stuff. So although you couldn't deal with Resi 2 very well,
Resi 2, it was the Mr. X thing. Just him constantly chasing you down, which is just like, I know a lot of other people with anxiety disorders like myself who were just like, yeah, it got to that point in the game and I couldn't play it anymore. Yeah. Which is why I loved like Resi 3 Remake so much, because there were set points when Nemesis would chase you.
Yeah, I couldn't play.
And I could deal with that because you had like a break from it. Because if it's all at 11 all the time, it's gonna kill you or get real fucking boring and tedious. So.
But because I know you like those, and you were all right on Resi 7, but I don't think you really like stuck with it.
Honestly, I had trouble with it because the FOV was a bit fucked. Everything was, like, the molded were just black, shiny, goopy, and like, Jack would chase you, and it felt a bit too suffocating. It was a bit too much.
So, and I know that one really leaned into, like, a sort of Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of vibe.
Very much, yeah.
Whereas this one, from what I can see, seems to be a bit more kind of campy horror vibe.
It actually, I will say, there is a lot of gore, and, like, this is gore that shocks me. Not in a kind of cheap way, but just in a kind of like, there's a part in Resident Evil 7, because you're playing the same character, Ethan Winters, in 7 as you are 8, and you get your arm cut off with a chainsaw in Resident Evil 7. And you can, like, pick it up and it's in your inventory. And then you use the weird, like, healing liquid, and you affix your hand back onto your fucking stump. There's also an optional part where you get your leg fucking sheared off by Jack Baker. And he basically just, like rolls over some of this healing solution and just sits in the corner and watches you. And then you pour it on, like, your fucking calf and just glue your leg back on so you can then get up and run away from him again. And it's just like, okay, that's cool. They've amped that up to fucking 11. It's, oh my god.
Is it
I honestly, okay.
Bad things happening to Ethan's hands, the video game?
It is. It really is. Like, one of the first things, you get, like, the ring and pinky finger of his left hand bitten off.
Oh.
By a lichen. They call them lichens. They're just kind of like feral zombie people.
Yeah.
And like there's so much hand trauma. It's and the thing is, I kind of don't want to spoil it, but I will a little bit. There's a part where you're running away from an enemy. You go to grab a lever to open, like, the door in front of you, and there's a flash in front of you, like proper samurai movie, and then your arm is just with the hand is still on the lever.
Oh.
And then you have to run away from them. And you do, like, a big loop, and then you come back round, and your arm is still on the lever. And then you have to, like, the hand off, and then, like, fucking pull it. And then, yeah, it's another one of, you get your hand in your inventory.
Good.
And it's just, like, this is so, it's like, it is so fucking violent, but it's done so in such a stupid way.
I'm half expecting him to, like,
start.
I'm half expecting him to, like, affix a fucking chainsaw to the stump.
Can you imagine? To be fair, there was the first boss fight with Jack Baker in Resident Evil 7 is literally in a garage, and he's fucking yeeting a chainsaw at you. And then you get into a car and start driving around in this really stunted way, running him over repeatedly. I like it how it's like it takes such glee in it's stupid. It's fucking stupid. It's a fucking 9-foot tall woman who's basically a vampire in Romania, and it's like while it is scary and it does have some genuinely frightening kind of moments, encounters, and themes, it also occasionally comes in with something quite lighthearted and silly, which I love that. I hate one-note shit because it's just, it's like, as much as I enjoyed The Matrix as a kid, no one fucking smiled in that movie. And it just kind of, I appreciate there's not much to smile about, but the thing is, gallows humor is a thing. You know, there's always a dark joke because that's a coping mechanism. So, you know, or like just hearing Ethan just being like, man, fuck this place. I hate it. It's dumb and stupid and I want to go home.
I will say one of the things I have liked about the last...
Also, Chris Redfield looks so fucking tasty in that. He's such a daddy man.
He's a big square potato.
Oh, he is. Because spoiler alert, Chris Redfield's in Resident Evil 7, or what they...
8.
Resident Evil 7. He's at the end of that. Okay. He's like, hey, I'm underwear model, Chris Redfield. And it's like, no, you're not. Go away. Why are you not a fridge? And then in Resi 8, they were like, fuck it, Fridgefield again. People were like, who the fuck is this guy? And like, I love it. I feel bad for the face model for RE7 Chris, but it was just like, we needed Fridgefield.
You needed.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's like the whole Klingon thing. It's like, you know, early Klingons. It's like, what about them? Oh, they were a mistake. A dark secret.
Before Enterprise established what that whole thing was about, the only time I think it's ever acknowledged is Worf in Trials and Tribulations, who is like, we don't talk about it with outsiders.
Yeah, that's basically the Resident Evil fandom with Resident Evil 7, Chris. We don't talk about it with outsiders. But yeah, no, really been enjoying it. It's fun. It's got really wacky characters and shit, and I've been enjoying it. It's very fun. And yeah, that's it. But one more thing that you and I have been doing.
Yes.
Is playing Soulbound. We did mention this, but the module has come to a close.
Yeah, so what we did was we played through. It's like an introductory.
It's like Crash and Burn, I think.
Crash and Burn is what it's called. It's like an introductory module for Age of Sigmar Soulbound, which is the tabletop role-playing game based around Age of Sigmar.
Yes.
And you play as a group of Soulbound who are basically big goddamn heroes. That's about it. Really.
Shiny. Let's be big.
So
what's your character's name?
I was playing Ulf Sternbock, who is a balloon dwarf.
Yes, he's a balloon dwarf.
I can never fucking remember what the class is actually called because
he's
it's
a balloon
made
dwarf.
up. It's made up copyrighted GW words.
Yeah, we have Aethlindir, which is Hobby Squigs. Sylvaneth.
Tree person.
We have Longfang's Conic, who is
Stormcast.
the token Stormcast, who is amazing and awesome, and just murders everything. And then you have my character, who is a bright mage called Paviodalina, and she is a fucking piece of shit.
Yep.
She's a horrible goose.
And our DM was Shanus.
Yes, Shanus DM'd it brilliantly.
I suppose it'd take too long to go through the whole thing because it's supposed to be like just one session.
It's supposed to be one session, but we had over like 4.
Yeah.
And not.
I mean, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but like Snipe was playing, so.
Okay, but the thing is, there was like next to no role playing.
Huh.
Yeah.
Like this was like really heavy like combat encounter sort of thing. Like,
it was just combat encounter after combat encounter, which I think I think Hobby said it best when they said that if there had been a less skilled DM than Shanus, it would have been tedious and horrible.
Yeah,
because there was so much combat. Which I'm not a combat player. I am a person who could literally spend. This might come as a shock to you, Drummer Matt especially. I could spend 2 hours just sitting there role playing in a tavern, happily.
But yeah, there wasn't much room to do that kind of stuff. So it would be possible to like do this all in like a day. Like say if you had a group of friends and you were meeting in person, because obviously like these things.
You made like
a
full day of it,
and you made a day of it. You could absolutely get through it in like one day. But if you're doing it online, and so obviously that kind of adds a little bit more time to it as you're kind of like going through some of the abstractions of things. And you do it, you've got like a few hours at a time to kind of like chip away at it. It did take quite a while to get through. So it's not as insubstantial as it first appears.
Yeah, and my character died.
Yeah. So I was going to give like
my first RPG death. But yes,
I was going to give a brief overview of what happens in the in this introduction.
Yeah, also for those of you who follow our streams, my streams with Longfang on Thursdays, Pavi is basically an interpretation of my Destiny 2 Warlock, which is why she's such a shit.
So the basic idea of this is that you are taking supplies to a place called Bright Spear. So you get into some Dwarden. That's the Caradron overlords.
Not Kar-Sharadan.
Not Kar-Sharadan.
No, we get Caradron.
Caradron overlords, the steampunk dwarves. You get in their airships, and you go. You're going across this huge distance, and you're just guarding it because you're soulbound to a. You're picked out special heroes, and it's the whole thing.
You're like the mandated hero party.
Yeah. And on the way, you are ambushed by a shitload of demons.
Yes. It was then we knew that this combat system was not fucking around.
Yeah, so the way the combat system works is that you have toughness, which is like your sort of temporary HP, and then you have your wounds, which are like your main HP. Now, you can't help but take your toughness as being like your HP in D&D. So when it hits 0, that's a problem. And you start going into like your death saving throws and shit. Whereas it doesn't quite work like that. You then, once you've got burned through your toughness, which you can get back relatively easily.
With like a 10-minute short rest.
Yeah, you then go into your wounds, which are your actual health. And because the numbers are quite small, like, I think I have like 6 wounds.
I have like 4, but I am a bright mage. So.
Yeah. So, like, you know, you don't have much, and you can burn through that quite quickly, and then you become mortally wounded, and then you can actually die. And there's ways around it, but, you know, it means that when stuff goes wrong, it goes wrong fast.
And hard.
Because if something can hit you hard enough, they can kill a player pretty damn quickly. The other side of it is, of course, that you tend to kill your enemies quite quickly when you get into it as well. So it's just it's a system made for heroics, for heroic tales, which is generally agreed upon to be sort of the idea of it, if that it's everyone gets the time to shine and to do their special things. In this first battle, where we fought a bunch of
the first spell I ever cast, I failed and took damage to myself.
Yes.
So that was a good start.
Yeah, and we get attacked by a shitload of Zangors and oh fuck, what they're called, the Screamers, the discs of Tzeentch when they're not being ridden.
I don't know.
I think it's Screamers. And yeah, we got attacked by a ton of those, and then another boat that was an airship that was also being attacked fell on Pavi.
Yeah, it actually fell on the deck of the ship we were on and fucking pinned me to the deck. And then the airship we were on went down, meaning that like Conic was like, okay, I'm gonna try and save her because otherwise she's going to be literally killed just by the impact. So we managed to survive the impact, and then we're like, okay, let's go in that direction because that's where we can see the smouldering remains of the other airship. So we go and look for survivors underground. Underground fucking sucks. It's awful. Shit.
I would like to point out that the crash from the airship was made for me significantly easier.
Oh yeah, you have a balloon. You were just like, yeah, what?
Yeah, because I played it's like an Endrin rigger. I think that's the name. Where they just have a giant like balloon strapped to their back, so it's like a personal hot air balloon.
Yeah, so he was just like, what?
So I just floated daintily down.
Well, I landed on a fucking like pile of Stormcast.
Yeah,
which I'm surprised didn't fucking kill her outright.
So we go underground, like into this tunnel system, trying to aim towards where one of the other ships has crashed.
We find this underground like village.
Before that, we have to deal with we get attacked.
Oh, we get swarmed by like fucking cows,
like chaos infected cattle.
Yeah.
That we murder with such efficiency that we effectively jam the tunnel solid with meat so that no more cows can get through.
Yeah, and then we saunter on. We find an underground village that's completely abandoned. There's only one place that isn't covered in fucking chaos symbols, and we're like,
this place is bad.
This is bad.
Oh, by the way, the forest we landed is on fire. I don't know if that was mentioned.
Yeah, which gives me a +1 to all my magic as a bright mage. Yeah. And like, I go up to Conic because I think I have the highest natural perception in the group, and I also have witch sight, which means it's basically detect magic that's kind of always on. And I'm like, hey, Conic. Well, she never calls him that. She calls him Tall One. It's like, hey, Tall One. So. It's fucking cold in here, and then we get attacked by fucking chain rasps. Chain wraiths and, like, something rasps. I don't know.
Yeah, it is chain rasps.
Ghosts fucking fight us, and we're like, okay, I just wanted to sit down and have a cup of coffee for, like, 2 minutes, but no, ghosts are fighting us. So then we go, and we're like, oh, let's just keep moving, because this place sucks. Then I start seeing more magic. And I'm like, that's weird. And we come up to a few tunnels, and I see a lot of magic coming from one of them. So Pavi just hucks a fireball down one of them, which I found out was not a good idea. Because this horrible fucking gauntlet of murder basically opens up where there's multiple zones. Because in Soulbound, there's zones, which is a little weird.
Yeah, like, it doesn't work on, like, hard and fast distances. Like, it's not like, oh, this is a 30, like, foot range. Yeah. It's like, no, this is, like, long, medium, or close range, and that can reach into the next zone or 2 zones over, or it can only be, like, you have to be right next to them. Like, it's a bit hazy on that, which I'll get to a bit in later.
But basically, like, it's like a valley where there's a bunch of goblin archers just firing at these zones, causing them to be quite serious hazards, and we kind of have to we have to hit at least 2 of them, so that, because when you're standing in like a minor hazard, it basically takes 1 HP off you.
Yeah.
Which usually is negated by your armor if you have at least 1 point of armor, so it kind of cancels it out. But if you don't actively attack the goblins firing into the hazard, it increases the hazard, so it becomes like a 2 damage per turn. So which...
Well, it starts off at 5 damage.
It starts
per
off
turn.
as 5. It's fucking bullshit.
It's fucking murder.
And it was going to be 12 zones, but it was only 6 because I fucking hawked a fireball down there like an idiot or some shit.
Well, it was because Seamus looked at the rules for it and went, "This is absolute nonsense. I'm going to make this playable."
Yeah, no, the like Seamus did a lot of very good DMing and kind of like changing, because a lot of it was bullshit, and like at some points, because you have survivors from the crash with you, and at some points the module just seems to forget that they exist, and it's just like it's quite amateurly put together. It's like there's a lot of problems with it, but I think Seamus made it very, very good.
Yeah.
So we get through that. We're all tired and angry because fuck that. All the survivors are alive. We get out. We have another rest because Jesus fucking Christ, this has been a day. Because it has been a day.
Yeah. Well, it's been several days, I believe, at this point.
Oh god, it's even worse. And like, we're progressing through these tunnels, and it's like, oh look, mushrooms. You guessed it, fucking grots. So there's this big fucking like boss grot, which is what's his name?
Drizzle Shroom.
Drizzle Shroom, which is the voice that Seamus does for Drizzle Shroom, which is
Who's,
perfectly fitting. He's a very moist goblin.
Yeah, I forget the actual name of the thing, but it's based on those goblins from Age of Sigmar, the ones that have like a mushroom growing out of their head.
Yeah, they're just covered in like mushroom slime, and he spawns a bunch of squigs, and we're like, okay. I'm like second highest in initiative order, so Conic goes first, and then it's my turn. And no, Drizzle Shroom has the highest initiative, so he goes first. He goes to cast a spell on Conic, who's up front because of course he's the tankiest boy. And Seamus goes, "Oh hey hey Pavy, do you want to like interrupt that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll interrupt that." So I roll and I interrupt, and he goes, "Okay, he's going to cast this spell."
Because, yeah, when he's interrupted, he can just cast another thing.
So he cast a spell, and I can't remember the name of it. Squiggler. Now, for those of you who don't know, and I won't blame you if you don't, because I fucking didn't, this spell causes basically every squig in the vicinity to fucking swarm one character of the caster's choice. Now, I just interrupted this motherfucker. Guess who he's surrounded with? I literally took a photo of it on my phone. There's like there was 12 squigs around me. And I have 4 wounds and 9 toughness. These things were doing like 5 to 8 damage each to me. So what happened was, Puvy is like, "Not today, fucker." Interrupts him. He goes, "Oh, I'm the fucker? Get fucked, fucker." And then I get assaulted by 12 squigs who basically have like 3 attacks on me.
You are dead.
I am dead before I even fucking hit the ground, and they are eating me alive. I am screaming and dying and being eaten alive in front of the whole party.
However, there is some mechanics.
And then I die.
Yeah,
because that's
no,
squig.
No, you don't die yet. This is it, like, because there is a very specific order of things here. Because the way there are things you can do in Soulbound. You can use Soulfire. It's like
it's like a group resource
that you can use to, like, boost people back to health and things. There's various things you can do, but there's also a thing called Last Stand, which if your character is about to die,
you can do a last stand.
It basically brings them back to full power so that they can unleash like a big final attack.
And then they die. Then they absolutely just die.
Then you absolutely die. Now,
I did that.
The thing is that Bright Mages have a spell. Well, they can take a spell that Snipe just happened to take with Pavy. What's it called?
From the Ashes, I believe.
From the Ashes.
If I die before my next turn, I can resurrect myself. And depending on how many successes I roll, is how much toughness I regain. So I'm like, fuck it. Last stand. Like, from the Ashes.
Die.
And then I get fucking mauled to pieces. I am dead. I am an ex-bright mage. I am in shreds.
Yeah, it is.
It is a screaming, brutal agony death. It is the most violent and horrific death I have ever encountered in a tabletop RPG.
It is
ever, and it happened to me.
It is hard to explain exactly how hard Pavi dies here,
and that was like the third squig out of 12.
However, with Pavi dying, that meant all of these squigs were now in one area.
Yes,
and my character wields a minigun.
And the thing is, you can't just pray and spray into a crowd with your teammates because it will hurt them as well.
Yeah.
But if one of them happens to be dead and partially digested...
So I just unleash all of my things into that and kill like a bunch of them and reduce the rest of them to low health, and then Hobby's character Aethlandir has like a fucking scythe.
Hail of doom and big scythe.
They use their scythe
thing.
And they just and which has a similar effect, and so just scythe through the rest of them. Whilst Conic launches at the goblin.
Conic tears chunks out of fucking what's his name, bitch nozzle. Yeah,
Drizzle Shroom.
I know what I said.
And Drizzle Shroom's like shit, and then runs away.
He fucking smoke bombs away just before Conic fucking kills him.
And we're all left there going like, wow, Pavi died hard, and then
everyone's having like a moment like there's kneeling, there's wow, that is as much of a shithead as Pavi was. That is. Fuck, that is a way to go. And then I revive, which is basically clawing, screaming from my own ashes because that was it before just before you mowed them down. I died and I exploded in flames, and all the squigs were like blah 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 because I had their tongues burnt because I was spicy. And then I crawl screaming from the fucking ashes of my own corpse, and I'm like, I am very tired. So Conic carries me so I can sleep for
that sounds like excellent tactics.
Yeah,
it is
legit. Actually, Seamus was doing some numbers.
If I'm a fucking sociopath, it's terrific.
Yeah. Seamus was doing some numbers in the background, and he's like, if you do get low on this Soulfire resource, because when you do Last Stand, it refills your Soulfire. You could technically just turn Pavi into like a Soulfire battery, because all she has to do is pull off that one relatively easy spell to resurrect herself, and you can just kill her endlessly, and she can just resurrect.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there going, I'm fucking sitting right here, you guys. That's a bit messed up.
So we eventually find the other airship,
find other survivors,
and we start repairing it, and then we start seeing some goblins on the horizon.
No, we don't. We all notice it, and then Pavi, this might surprise everyone, just fucking hucks a fireball at one of the goblins. Just fireball.
And we're like, okay, we've got to hurry, because,
Because they're scouts. They're going to be back and in greater numbers.
Yeah. And just before we finish up getting prepared to go, tons of them arrive.
Literally like a fucking horde.
A horde of squigs and squig riders arrive, and sort of just.
And we already know how vicious squigs are in close quarters.
Yeah, squigs are.
Jesus, they are broken. Well, I mean, they're not, because they're quite low toughness, and you can kill them from a distance. You just can't let them get close, because then they will literally tear. They'll literally tear chunks out of you.
Well,
I am living proof. Living dead proof.
I mean, to be fair, there was 12 of them, and you are just a mage. 2 of them completely, removed all the toughness from a Stormcast, who has, really good armor.
And Conic was knocked prone, which I have, a spell that increases your armor class by, a step, which, meant that they needed to roll 6s to fucking hit him, because it's on D6s.
Yeah.
And, that went pretty well. We killed a bunch, and then they all retreated.
Well, they sort of
they fucking hit and ran.
They hit and run, and then a wave of just regular goblins came in, which actually we kind of massacred relatively easily.
Yeah.
Then there was a brief pause, and then Drizzle Shroom reappeared, but he was riding a Troggoth.
Yes, he was.
So just a fucking...
Which made all of us fucking shit.
However, there was a plan. So my kind of side weapon, because I've got this volley gun, which is basically a fucking minigun, is a vulcanizer pistol, which If
it's
you
like a melter gun, isn't it?
basically, if you roll a 6 when you're rolling for like if you hit, then it literally destroys a piece of their armor.
And means that it lowers their it makes their armor be a step down.
Yeah.
Permanently.
So this thing had armor, and Pavi had dropped a fireball on the ground, so it turned the area into a minor hazard.
So it's like chipping off 1 point of armor, but also it basically took half damage from any of my spells, which is all I have.
Well, what it did was it doubled its armor.
Yeah.
So
is this
against
kind of
magic.
Okay. Yeah.
So magic wasn't that useful against it.
Nope.
But if you blow all its armor off, it has 0 armor. So if you double 0, it's still 0.
Maths.
So blew all its armor off. It was sitting there in fire, and now it was vulnerable to most things.
And then Conic just ran up this fucking troll and just cut Drizzle Shroom in fucking half.
Yeah, literally.
Just cut him in fucking half. Just see you stitch that and just fucking carves him up.
One turn killed the leader, because he was like a separate entity, just killed him outright in like one turn, and we're all just left there, okay. But then we've got an angry Troggoth to deal with, which then storms up and
grabs you out the fucking sky.
Yeah, grabs me out the sky.
Just mine.
And I'm like, okay.
And he starts like fucking crushing you.
Slaps Aethundir to the point that like starts getting them down into low wound territory, and like,
so we're super fucking worried.
One more turn, and that it could kill either of us, honestly, because of how quickly it goes to shit. You're hurling magic at it, and I'm sort of like wrestling in its grasp, and I'd like pull out my Vulcanizer pistol and start jamming it in whatever holes I can find.
First of all, you shove it up its nose and fire.
And that doesn't really seem to do much. So I jam it in its ear.
Yeah, and we're like, no, go for the eye. And you're like, no, the ear. That sends a message. And we're like, what fucking message, dude?
And it turns out the message was blowing a hole all the way through its head.
Yeah.
It just fucking dies. As I just basically like, think of a melter gun from 40k. I basically stuck one of those in its ear and pressed the fucking trigger.
Yeah.
It did not have much of a head left.
No, but and then we're all alive, which is... Well, I mean, I only died once, so, I'm okay. I got better. But yeah, so that was... Yeah.
And then we got back on the ship and...
Fucked off back to continue our journey onwards to Brightspear.
Yeah, and that was the introductory, basic start. It's not... it's technically the introduction to the starter campaign they made for Soulbound.
It's a prequel to the starter.
So... It goes pretty hard.
Yep. It was fun though. We had a good group and a good DM.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and Seamus did a great job of like taking the parts that were perhaps a little unreasonable if you had, depending on like the makeup of the group, because like there's some parts of it where if you didn't have at least X amount of people with ranged ability, you'd just be dead.
Literally brick wall. Dead man.
There would be no way of doing that part. You would just die. It doesn't seem to be quite well balanced in that regard, but Shanice did a great job of making it kind of work. So,
but
thank you.
we are planning on continuing, so we'll keep you updated.
But yeah,
thank you for listening to us. Just carry on.
It was a fun little thing. It was a fun little thing.
Yeah.
Was it nice playing something that sounds very different to D&D?
It was very different, and honestly, it made me appreciate the differences between both of the systems. So yes, it was good because nice. You play one like game system and you're like, oh, you just kind of that's the one that you compare to everything else because that's your baseline kind of that's your foothold, and it's like. You can tell it's more set towards like the Warhammer kind of side of playing, like wounds and everything's a D6 and whatnot, and it's like it's cool.
Yeah, it's apparently based on the very very similar to Wrath and Glory, apparently. Although it's better than Wrath and Glory
is the 40k TTRPG,
which I would like to have a shot at one time. Even though I know it's not very good, I think it might be a thing where I'd be happy to DM something like that because that's a setting I fucking know. But yeah, any final thoughts about Soulbound?
It's all right.
Because I know we skimmed over that a lot quicker than we normally would.
No, I wanted to kind of get past it because podcast length and stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot longer than we intended.
Yeah. But no, I like it. I like it's different. It's fun. I think I would get a lot more out of it if I was more familiar with AOS lore, which I am not, even though I wrote all of it.
On the bright side, they have just been starting to put out stuff saying that lizardmen will be added to it.
Because you really wanted to play.
I really wanted to play a skink,
and then you were like, "I guess I'll play a fucking dwarden, whatever."
Yeah, I really wanted to play a skink, but they hadn't been added to the game yet. I mean, what I really wanted to do was play a goblin, but like it's all based around Forces of Order, so like the Grand Alliance Order players. So,
but yeah, no, it was fun. It was very fun. But yeah, we should get onto the questions.
We should do the questions.
Drumbly bumbly.
Yeah. Yes.
What is the email?
thedrummermat@gmail.com.
Good. And do we have questions? Have people indeed sent questions? Or is this just going to be a really awkward transition where you go no, and then we sit here quietly for 10 minutes?
And then I ask questions and people do not want me to ask
people
questions.
do not want to know what your questions are.
They don't want to know.
But to get away from that, what are the questions that people have indeed asked us?
So I was going to say let's blast through these a bit quickly, just looking at the time. But this first one's going to be a bit longer, but I think it's going to be worth it.
Okay.
So it's an interesting one. Max.
Hello.
A very long time ago, I caught a minor snippet of a show I wasn't familiar with that looked like a Jerry Anderson production. I'm now trying to identify the show and the episode based on the extremely limited information I can recall.
Okay.
So they thought that Wib might be able to help out, and I actually think that maybe if you don't know, someone who listens might.
Okay, yeah, sure.
There's a link here because they a few days ago. Well, okay, it would have been a few days ago if I answered the email a few days ago. It's actually apparently 27 days ago they asked this on Stack Exchange.
I don't think we mentioned it, but yeah, sorry this podcast is late. It just is. Don't worry about it.
Because 2021 is a hellhole and all of us are anxious and depressed and shit. So, don't take it personal.
So I'll read through this. I'll try and truncate it where I can, but it'll be a little bit longer. So, years and years ago, I caught a snippet of what looked like a Jerry Anderson Super Marionation show on TV. The only thing I was really familiar with is Thunderbirds, and it didn't look like any episode of that, so it must have been something else probably. I remember exactly 2 things of this brief snippet. So, a shot of a man in a wheelchair in a wide open luxurious room. The space looked something like a fancy hobby lobby with marble tiles in, I think, blacks and greens, some arse and expensive looking furniture. A man in a wheelchair, I think like a sleek black then futuristic type motorised one, was riding up a shallow slope in the foreground. And then a woman's voice says, "How can I get any rest with all this excitement?" or something to that effect.
Okay, you're literally just describing X-Men, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if
this, as a side note, this was probably about 10 to 15 years ago. So
I can't say that I can think offhand because there are basically a lot of the Jerry Anderson stuff from I think Thunderbirds is kind of the first one to sort of have that kind of like look. Because he did stuff beforehand like Supercar and Fireball XL5 and Four Feather Falls. But they're quite distinct when you see them, mostly because they're in black and white and don't look as good as Thunderbirds. But sort of post-Thunderbirds, your Stingray, your Captain Scarlet. Well, actually, come to think of it, Captain Scarlet does look a bit different because the heads are smaller of the puppets.
It's more realistic looking.
Yeah, there's a more realistic proportion, which is why you'll see in Captain Scarlet you don't tend to see the puppets walking around because they can't walk because
their heads are too heavy.
No, their bodies are too heavy. Because the mechanics are in the head for like the blinking and stuff, like the batteries and stuff were all in the head for like the Thunderbirds puppets, allowing them to walk and stuff. Whereas I think they're in the body for the Captain Scarlet puppets because their heads are smaller. Which is why in some stuff afterwards you will sometimes see puppets that look like they have bigger heads than others because they were reusing puppets from previous shows and they don't quite line up scale wise sometimes. But having like a wheelchair, the only thing I can think of that could be is I'm pretty sure the boss character is in a wheelchair in Stingray. So it could be him. And one of his main attendants was a lady who I forget the name of offhand, but she was a redhead.
You are just describing X-Men to me.
So it could be Stingray because that does have like a guy in a futuristic wheelchair. It could be. Stingray's good. I like Stingray.
Okay. Well, if anyone has any ideas, email in, and I'm intrigued to see whether we can use the podcast to answer these sort of questions. Although not that we'll necessarily do this if anyone else asks. It will get very old very quickly. But as a one-off, I'm just intrigued just to see if this will get us anywhere.
But if it's like, but it could also just be a one-off episode of any given show that just happened to have a character in a wheelchair. So I don't want to say definitely, but the only thing I can think of offhand is Stingray.
Okay, right. Let's quick fire through some of these next ones.
Okay.
Hell on Earth.
Hello.
Snipe.
Yes.
You're doing okay and you're enough.
Thank you.
There's another question. Matt, have you ever met Matt Ward?
Which one, Drummer Matt or husband?
No, Matt Ward. Have you ever met Matt Ward?
I have not, but we do follow.
You follow each other on Twitter, and he's a real cool guy.
We follow each other on Twitter. I've had a few conversations with him through the medium of Twitter, and he seems like a really nice guy. He helped us get some of the a couple of the images of rules for the Citadel Combat Cards video. So I think I once stated that Matt Ward is in the bracket of people who I will get into a fight with to defend in a Warhammer World parking lot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. By all my experiences with them.
Excellent. Next up, Brandon.
Hello.
The Imperium of Man shows up with a ship orbiting modern Earth, as in presumably our Earth. The Adeptus Administratum, in all their intelligence, demands a tithe from us. For some reason, they recognise you, I guess collectively you each, as the sole negotiator and ultimate authority on Earth. Which, I mean, that seems legit.
Yeah.
What item do you convince the Administratum is an acceptable tithe?
I'm going to say...
Gamers. Get rid of them.
What's a tithe?
It's
pay us to not bomb your planet, I guess.
Protection money.
Yeah, protection money.
Okay, racket shit. Now, see, crime, I get that.
Yeah.
I would give them Digimon. Handheld Digimon. And be like, behold, the machine spirit is active.
Would you try and persuade them that it's valuable, or would you just assume that they'll just get distracted playing it and then not get round to doing anything better?
What I would do, I honestly think I've told one little white lie in my entire life, so I'm not very good at lying. Shut the fuck up, the pair of you.
We neither of us said words.
I know. It's just, I feel that maybe you doubt me, and that hurts me. That's a direct attack on my purity.
I mean, other people hear these podcasts, right? So they know of your lies.
I don't lie. I've never lied in my entire life. Never lied at all. No. Okay. So I'd just be like, yes, okay. I'd be, bring me the Digimon, and then someone would pass me like a Digimon, and I'd hand it over. And then they'd be like, what's this? And because the Imperium of Man is so fashy and so up their own fucking dickholes, I'm going to be like, surely a civilization as advanced as yours knows a Digimon when you see it. And then they'd be like, oh yeah, no, of course we do. Okay, you're fine.
Well, in fairness,
basically play into their own sense of superiority. The
problem is that the Imperium of Man has like a ban on artificial intelligence. And I know the machine spirit kind of like, it's a whole thing, but that has like organic. It's a whole thing.
Well, they're not, yeah.
But
the thing is, I'm not telling them what it is.
You give it to them,
the batteries are probably run out,
and they'd be like, "Oh, the machine spirit in this is strong," but they might also accuse you of tech heresy and exterminatus the planet.
I mean, honestly, just exterminatus Britain. I'm fucking sick of Turf Island. So it's a win-win.
Fair. Can I leave first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's like 8 or 9 people that can probably.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal, John.
He is not in Britain.
No, I just mean in the world. I thought we were talking about blowing up the world.
Yeah, you were talking about blowing up Britain. So
he is in Britain. He's in the kitchen.
He's not.
Yeah, he is.
He's not. That's the
Your
doll.
Your wife's boyfriend
that's the
has
doll
bought
that
you a
you've
PS5.
Made. The doll that you've made out of socks. And miscellaneous newspaper stuffing it.
No, because I can never find any newspaper.
They're in shops, dear.
Why?
I think that's a very good question.
I mean, yeah, I don't know why anyone buys a newspaper, but they are available in the shop.
Oh, okay. I thought you said newspapers are in shock. I'm like, fuck, why? What happened? It's because Pedro Pascal is a very real husband of mine who's in the kitchen, who's like gonna give you a PS5 because my husband's like your wife's boyfriend wants you to be happy.
Dear.
Every now and again, I remember that that my father-in-law listens to these podcasts, and I'm like, how can he even deal with me?
Hey, Dad.
Hi. Sorry about all the cum.
Fucking hell. What even was the question?
What are we offering?
I
would offer a bird's caramel donut because they're so good they would just have to not bomb the planet.
Sounds disgusting. So we should definitely never eat those again.
So you'd offer a thing of genuine worth. Snipe would offer a thing that.
Don't you dare say Digimon aren't genuine worth.
Well, something that may confuse and confound them, and I would simply use it as an excuse to get rid of the gamers. So
I changed my answer.
Okay.
Mine would be like a 50,000 word. Enemies to friends to lovers, slow burn, romantic fanfiction. Because then they'd be like, oh yes, the sacred texts, and I'd be like, haha, it's literally My Immortal or whatever. Also, that's not the category which I stayed in. But just like give them something like My Immortal or like Hogwarts School of Prayer and Miracles.
Give them access to just AO3.
Give them access to fanfiction.net. Not AO. No, AO3 is good. That's where I hang out. AO3.
Oh, you wanted to give them the shit stuff.
No, give them Wattpad.
Oh no!
Sonic fanfiction.
The Imperium Man is a brutal, like, theocratic, like, autocracy.
But they don't deserve Sonic fanfiction.
But they don't deserve fucking Wattpad.
I don't know. I think some of them might. I'd be like, and they'll be like, oh yes, a new form of torture. Your planet is safe. Nay, honored in the eyes of the Emperor. And I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Fuck off. Also, you like sometimes it won't send out an email verification, but just.
Next question.
Okay, Dean.
Hello.
Would you rather fight a single-sized grot or gaunt, delete as applicable for the two of you, or all of your grots / nids come to life, but stay at their current size?
Well, I mean...
I would fight... it's respective armies. I'm guessing I'd have to fight a gaunt.
Gaunt is way worse to fight than a grot.
Yeah, what the fuck? Dean, come on, man.
Yeah, but you're more powerful, so...
Okay, that's actually true.
That is true.
I'd bulldog the fucking thing. Yeah, I'd fight a one, like 1/1 size gaunt.
I would be happy to fight my grots, considering...
You'd have a slap fight, or you'd have a thumb war.
Well, my grot, I have I think 75 regular grots. And most of the other things are big machines, so they probably don't count.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I can take what is effectively
a toddler,
70 beetles, in terms of power.
It's interesting you see that because the question actually says, would you rather fight a single one of your whichever it is, or all of your grots and nids come to life? It doesn't say you have to fight them. It just says they come to life.
Wait. So that's the group. The group has come to life, but the individual. Yeah, no, I'll fucking fight a singular gaunt that is just a piece of fucking plastic. Wow.
No, it's all of them.
No. One full size gaunt, or all of your nids come to life. I mean, with your nids, it's the same question.
Are they full size?
No, at the same size. So all your nids would come to life and fight you because they're nids. But the grots, you might not have to fight them.
Because they're
you could persuade them. You could persuade them that you're Gork or Mork, or I guess walk.
I am bigger than them, and that's how hierarchy works in Greenskin culture.
Exactly.
I have really drawn the short end of the fucking stick in this.
You have to fight them regardless.
Okay, I'm going to fight the little ones then, because I'm just going to put my boots on and stamp on them.
Saying that, grots have gone are going up to toughness 3, so taking one in a physical fight is definitely harder.
It's not... Grot... You could football kick a fucking grot.
They're bigger than you think.
But smaller than you'd hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also I'm bigger than you think, and I'm going to fucking bulldog one of them.
Oh yeah, you could take a grot in a fight, no worries, yeah.
But
they're roughly equivalent to the strength of an average human now.
I'm not.
Yeah, which is
in terms of toughness anyway.
Yeah.
So very weird. I'm not sure I like that, to be honest.
Yeah, the thing is, like, you think of them as being like super small, but it's just because they're next to orcs who are fucking huge, and you see them next to space marines who are also fucking huge. Like, it's not to say that grots are big, but they're not as small as you think.
Yeah.
They're not like
point,
shin high or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
all right.
let's
not dwell. 6-foot alligator.
Hello, I love you, and I wish to have you in my home one day.
Threatening.
No, because it's Flat Fuck Friday, and they made like alligators.
This is not going up on Friday. I'm sorry.
No,
I know.
Every day is Flat Fuck Friday in the hearts of the righteous.
Yeah. Okay. If you could bring back one confectionery product from the past, so including its price, so it would you could get it at the same price you used to, and the quality and the ownership, it's not owned by some weird other company or whatever. Blah blah blah. Which would it be and why?
Okay,
snowflakes.
Yeah, okay, snowflakes are pretty legit. Okay.
Snowflakes, if you don't know, they were in Britain. They are they were flaky white chocolate.
Covered in like a layer of milk chocolate.
And
they were fucking...
that sounds amazing.
Made by Cadbury's, so they were
good.
fucking lovely.
I'm going to say... oh, God, what were they called? Snozzberry bars, which were a Wonka thing, which was green, like dyed green white chocolate with dyed purple white chocolate with like neon green like apple flavored nerds in them. They were fucking legit. I remember I saved up for like 2 weeks and bought a fucking confectionery box of them and ate them in 3 days. It was worth it.
You lived the dream.
I did. And I think I was the last person to ever buy them. Because they've never really done chocolate licorice over here. So, like, I'm angry about that. Because, like, they used to sell it in TK Maxx, and then they were like, hey, Snipe, fuck you in particular. And now they don't sell it anymore, and I cry ever, Tim.
It's definitely a personal thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Drum and Bat, what about you?
I don't know. There's not... Can I bring back Freddos, but like, just mostly so I can get them at 10p again, rather than, I don't know, £7.50 or whatever they are now.
£7. No, I thought you were going to say, you remember those football, like, Kinder Eggs? Chocolate crazy, like football crazy chocolate. No. Come and grab a ball and play football with the lads.
What the fuck is that?
You don't remember that ad? It was fucking everywhere.
I don't know what it's an advert for, but I remember that.
It was like it was like a milk chocolate sphere that had like a really ugly like big head footballer in it. And it literally chocolate.
Yeah.
Come and have a ball and play football with the lads. It's like it's like a something a hero in your hand. They're the greatest players from the best teams in the land.
I have no recollection of this.
I would sing that in class and everyone would join in. It's like 0800 00 1060. It was like that kind of shit. Yeah.
Hastings Insurance, if anyone was interested.
Yeah. I nearly got kicked out of an exam for just saying the words Beauty and the Beast in a weird, like, fucking Angela Lansbury impersonation. I did fail that exam.
Yeah! Yeah, not surprising.
To be fair, the woman who did it, she was, like, awful, and she basically promised me she was going to fail me anyway, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to sing Beauty and the Beast during your fucking exam, and I'm going to go to the fucking, like, bathroom.
Oh, so were you doing Taylor's Oldest Time? Because that was
No, I was just
sung
going,
by Angela.
Beauty and the Beast. I was doing it in a minor, so it was a bit... Ooh.
But yeah, okay, that's less weird because that was just sung by Angela Lansbury. So.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think I wouldn't do? This motherfucker.
Well, there's a difference between just saying you were saying the words Beauty and the Beast in Angela Lansbury's voice and then adding the additional context. No, I was doing the part of the song that Angela Lansbury sung in the old movie that Disney made of Beauty and the Beast. Yeah. That has much more like solid context for it.
Thank you. Look, I understand if you're not up to my staggering intellect.
I'm sorry, keeping up with you sometimes is a little difficult.
Yeah.
I
have no idea if you answered the question in the end after all.
I can't remember what the question was.
No, it's fine. Also, to answer Snipe's question,
what?
Which apparently you asked, I can't remember what question you asked, but my favourite metal is lead because holding it slowly kills you, and I can relate to that.
Oh.
Apparently
that's what my father said about me, so yeah, I get it. Also, stop being self-deprecating. I'm going to come fucking find you and slap you upside the head. And then give you some chalky milk because you're too hard on yourself.
Nice. Next up, Roro.
Hello, Roro.
Have we tried the VR game Blade and Sorcery?
No, but I really want to because it looks like so stupid and silly.
Which one's this?
Oh, that's.
It's a VR melee combat game, but
it's like
they
a
mention
melee.
it because there's a Star Wars mod called The Outer Rim, and you can use Kylo's crossguard saber. So they thought it would be relevant for you, Snipe.
I know.
Is this something we can play on on the one we've got?
I don't know.
Shall I look into it for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I've seen, like, do you remember I showed you that GIF of like there's like a medieval dude coming up to the person who's playing, and they reach out and grab him by the throat, and then they kind of they fold each individual finger, and then they just kind of like speedball his face, and then slap him back and forth and yeet him over a bridge.
That I might have because the moving individual fingers thing isn't that a Steam VR thing?
I don't know,
because that's related to the way its controller works.
I just know that I really do want to play that game, so we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, because we can't do the individual finger movements because we don't have the kind of controllers that do that.
Yeah, but I'd like to figure it out.
We'll try and figure something out.
Yeah.
Okay, Wib, speed round from Michael.
Okay.
Hello.
As a fellow fan of, there's a theme here, Jerry Anderson's work, have you seen any of the following? Filmed in Super Mario Nation, a documentary?
No, I don't think I've ever watched a documentary about the stuff, so no.
Okay. Thunderbirds 1960, which is apparently 3 new episodes made from audio dramas.
No. I will look into that.
There you go. Thunderbirds Are Go, with the reboot series.
Is that the one that...
No, because they all look like sex dolls and it freaked me out.
And then also apparently there's a new Jerry Anderson merch site.
Yes, I found that because...
I was looking at that the other day,
Yeah, I found that for Wib and I sent it to him, and it was just like, it's not so much as, losing an internet connection or a husband, so much as gaining a lot of Jerry Anderson merchandise.
I would buy basically everything from that store, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next up, Pineapple Fantastico. To counter their question from last time, or at least previously at some point, when they asked about the good bits about coming to live in the UK, and then we got a bit miserable about it for a while. As a counter to that, when it's safe to, where are some places you'd want to visit?
Bunny.
The place?
There's a village
town called Bunny.
It's actually not very far from here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can get there and go,
Bunny.
Well, like anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, I've always wanted to go to New York and just get shouted at by an Italian-American person. Like, I'm walking here, and then I just come. I die.
I mean, it's the obvious weeby answer, but I would love to go to Japan.
I'd love to go to Tokyo. I'd love to take you to Australia and watch you fight a huntsman in hand-to-hand combat.
I am...
Or hand-to-gland combat,
that's the entry requirements.
Yeah.
Having heard about the fucking flora and fauna of Australia, I do not understand how it functions as a country.
A lot of people don't until they get there and realise that, hey, a lot of these vicious predators and stuff don't like 40,000 people in, like, a very small area.
So what you're saying is that I should stick to big cities that are full of millions of people?
Yeah, but you still get cockroaches, and you still get like huntsmen. You tend to get redbacks out in like smaller rural kind of towns, like the one I grew up in. Yeah, whereas like if you live in an apartment, you'll fucking never see one.
Apart from New York, is there anywhere else you'd like to go?
I want to go to Disney World.
You want to go to Galaxy's Edge.
Duh.
Yeah. That's
I
fair.
want to go, and I want to get myself I want to go through the making your own lightsaber thing, because I watched Tom Scar do it with him and his friends, and I actually just cried because it was so cool and pretty and nice, and I'm like, oh, it's so good.
Matt, actually, because you're way more travelled than we are.
I also want to go to Germany.
Like, is there anywhere that you want to go that you haven't been?
I'm going to put aside for this question. I've used up a lifetime's worth of flying credits or whatever. Like, I don't feel like I should fly anywhere ever again, basically. But assuming we could just like teleport to these places, and this fantasy question that there, Japan is up there on the list.
Oh yeah, definitely. The thing is, you're the tallest of our friend group. You would have the most trouble in Japan.
I'm actually genuinely surprised you've never been.
Yeah, we were very close.
We were
very close to going.
I'm sure, like Nat's been, hasn't he?
I'm not sure.
Huh.
I feel like I might remember that, but who knows?
I'm sure I remember him telling me about going to Japan, or
quite
at least,
possibly.
Yeah, I mean God
I'd very
knows
much
what Nat's doing.
We were very close to doing it before we moved to France. We were about to give up on applying for jobs and doing things, and going, you know what? Let's just go travelling for a bit. And then just after we started making very rough plans, we got the job in France and moved there. So
gainful employment is a bitch.
I know. Yeah. We're very close. I'm doing a food tour of like Southeast Asia because I love Asian food. So we're just going to go around and try lots of food.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It's going to be great. I don't currently have any inkling to go back to that. I've been to New York. I haven't been to any other bits of the States, but I just don't want to go to a place where it's feasible that someone could be walking past me with a gun. That's just not somewhere I want to go.
I fully understand.
It's like I just don't understand why that's a thing and what. Yeah, there's good parts. Yeah, there's loads of bits I'd love to see in another universe, but yeah.
No, I fully get it. I fully get it. It's like it's like I walk down the street and I don't have to worry about someone fucking shooting me.
And it's not likely, but it's way more likely than somewhere where there's just not guns.
Yeah, exactly.
It is something that I think is because like the discussion of guns is far more complicated.
We're not getting into that. We don't have a prepared statement.
Yeah.
But it is a fascinating thing, like, when you're talking from the perspective of someone who comes from a country where just no one has guns.
The only people who have weaponry over here is farmers.
Pretty much.
And they're all like, they're the kind of people who wouldn't ever come near you because you're poor. So, they're probably not going to shoot you.
So the way the American culture of I should say United States rather, culture of
just say South Canada
is so perplexing and just alien to like so many people from countries outside of it.
I really love guns though. I mean, I have fired multiple guns and I would love to own some, but I also understand that they're kind of a bit risky. Our guns.
Yeah, I don't really want to get into the gun debate because it's actually again, way more complicated.
No prepared statement. It's not black and white, but yeah. So yeah. I understand your reasoning, dude. I fully do.
Yeah.
But I also want to go to New York because I just think it's cool. It's pretty. It's big.
We had very good pizzas in Little Italy in New York.
Like I said, I know it's like a tourist trash thing, but I just really want to take take Snipe to like all the theme parks and stuff in Florida that I visited as a kid. Just because
I want to fucking football kick a vulture.
I know it's just fucking it's tourist nonsense, but theme parks are fun.
Yeah, they are.
I don't get to go to them very often.
Yeah. The last one I went to was
American Adventure.
Which, in case you all don't know, fucking sucked, and I'm glad it's dead.
Like, hey, do you want to see what people in the fucking Amber Valley interpret American culture?
Oof. It was a little bit of like Native American like cultural appropriation, and I like the cowboy ones though because all the cowboys are really hot. And I was just like, yeah. But although I could just go anywhere and see handsome cowboys, so like, it wasn't worth paying like 15 quid to get in to just look at an attractive guy in a hat.
And it's long since...
I can look at attractive people in hats on the internet. I don't need to pay money to go and...
That theme park is long since dead and has been abandoned for years.
Yeah, my brother went skating there a few times because it is just this bare bones, miserable fucking like urban decay bullshit.
I remember we tried to get into it once, but they'd really locked it down tight when we went down.
Probably because of my brother constantly fucking going in there. You know what he's like. We got fucking harassed by a security guard skating in a car park at like 6 p.m. on a Sunday, which in England means that there's, especially in a small town, there's no one around. It's fucking dead. This guy who he wasn't even working security. He just came up with like a fucking inflated B&Q bag and was like, "What do you think you're doing? You can't skate here!" And my brother was like, "Oh yeah, who says?" And bear in mind, my brother was like 13 at the time. And he was like, "What authority do you have?" And I'm like, fuck, I'm getting nervous about this plastic bag wielding lunatic, and my brother's just like, fucking what, mate? What are you gonna do? You gonna call cops? And he was like, I could. And he's like, okay, would you like to borrow my phone? And he was like, I don't want to borrow your phone. And like, yeah.
Al's confidence has always been something of
he's terrifying.
A wonderous thing to witness in person.
Because he's not like aggressive, he's just very kind of like very calm and firm.
Yeah.
And that gets him out of everything. So yeah, that was fun. Yeah. But yeah, I would like to visit a lot of places, but yeah, I'd say those are up there. Fun question.
Okie dokie. Next question. I don't understand this one exactly, so it might be a good question, it might not. Who knows? The OC. Hello. Or just OC, not the OC. I said the because apparently, yeah. Anyway, been watching through the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. Question regarding the Rako Hardeen arc. Reiko Hardeen arc.
Yeah.
So without spoilers, what's your take on Obi-Wan just turning fully into a copy of the bounty hunter voice and all, and later wearing a hologram which visually passes as real clone armor? Seems OP to me.
I honestly don't think I've got there yet.
You have not got there.
So thanks for the spoilers, OC.
So I don't want to talk about it because it's that'll be spoilers for you.
Yeah. I just want to see more Little Ahsoka.
Cool.
And I barely remember it anyway. So.
Fair. The sentient hair.
Oh.
You're going to be body swapped with one Primarch, so like Freaky Friday style thing. During the Great Crusade for 1 week. Which and why? But remember, not only will you be in their body for a week, they'll be in your body for a week.
Oh fuck. Okay. You see, I was going to say Russ, but because he would be in my body, I don't want that. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be like 14 stone heavier. Like, I'm going to have like 14... I'm going to have 14 dating apps on my phone. 8,000 unread dick pic messages. So, I'm going to say Vulcan. Because he'd probably just be like, I'm going to break into the local RSPCA shelter and pet everything. Which is what I do anyway. So, yeah.
Personally, I would probably just body swap with Dawn because no one would notice because I'd be so boring.
You're not boring. You just like things that suck.
I just like things being in order.
Oh, yes, I have a very boring voice. I'm joking.
No, I don't know.
No.
Which was the one? Which was the one that we were talking about a while ago? It was like one of the lost ones that someone was theorizing just like washed up on a beach somewhere and just is actually just chilling, sipping martinis or whatever.
Oh yeah, one of the because I know isn't one of them like.
There's the Lost and the Purged, I believe.
Yeah, there's the Purged.
Also, it's worse to that effect.
Yeah. So I think if I had to choose between the Lost or the Purged, I'd probably pick the former. Because I mean, I'm already a non-cis person living in the UK. I'm already getting purged pretty much daily. So yeah, fuck it. Let's get lost. The tagline for Silent Hill Downpour was "Let's get wet," which is just like wow. Thirsty for Pendleton, which is the main character's surname.
Snipe, I mean this with the utmost respect.
Yeah.
What the fuck did that have to do with anything?
It just reminded me.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking about Silent Hill.
Okay. Very last question. This is actually a serious one.
Okay. Oh shit!
Okay.
So, from Liv.
Hello.
Came out as trans to friends a few years ago, and it all went well, and everyone was lovely. Which is excellent.
Yeah, no, fucking proud of you.
Came out to my mum a few months back, and she was really lovely about it, and she was, doing the right things and etc. And very supportive. But that was a few months ago, and now Liv thinks that her mum's kind of either forgotten or just kind of drifted back to, using the wrong name and things like that. So the question is, how do I tell her again without sounding like a dick? Because Liv realises that it's quite a drastic change and it must be hard for her mum to adjust. So it's not going to be an instant, even though her mum's being supportive, it's not going to be necessarily like an instant, easy to remember thing. But obviously wants to mention it again somehow because so yeah, any thoughts on how to sort of, it's a bit of a delicate one.
Well, I think the first thing to mention is that two of the people here are cis and
through no fault of their own.
Through no fault of our own. So our opinions on this, like I have never had to do anything like that. So
that's a good start. Yeah.
So anything we say is going to be with that kind of caveat. And I would say that if anyone listening to this has good suggestions, that's something to pop down in the comments.
Pop them in the comments.
Because I'm just not going to say anything about this because this is not something I have experience with, and I don't feel like anything I say would be useful at all here. So I will back out here because although I've had to come back to people as bisexual, but that's a bit of a different thing because I'm also in a straight presenting relationship, so it doesn't really affect my life in any kind of
because while I am not a cisgender individual, I also present quite stereotypically feminine.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of moderately femme presenting. So it leads to people to assume.
Yeah. And it means they can treat us exactly the same as they did before, and it doesn't really change much.
Yeah. So I mean, I haven't had much experience with coming out to people. Especially I don't have parents, so I came out to my brother, and the thing is, I am not a binary trans person. I am a non-binary person, so I don't really have any preference on pronouns that aren't she, her, she, they. So and I don't have a new name or anything like that. I don't know, Liv, about your current situation with pronouns and whatnot, but. I have friends who are agender, and all this, and I also have trans friends, and it's easy for me to say this as a non-binary femme who doesn't really have any plans of transitioning, but I would say the only way to really do it is to just go, she, or whatever your pronouns that you prefer are. It's oh no, sorry, and then just kind of mention it, move on. And it is very difficult to do that, especially because the world is very shitty against trans people just wanting to exist. And I understand how hard it can be to speak up, because it is so much easier and less painful to just not say anything. But
as with a lot of things, communication.
Yeah,
that's all you can do.
And I'm sorry if that's not a good thing to hear, but that's my perspective. But again, people in the YouTube comments who have had to do this kind of stuff, please leave your thoughts, suggestions, and ideas, fellow trans folk, who can help live out. Because again, I am not cis, but I'm also not fully qualified to answer this question either. I can just give you my vague idea. So
if they do, and it's like the thing, if someone's doing something to you that that you are not it's hurtful, what they're saying or whatever,
even if it's not intended to be.
And if it seems like they're doing it absent-mindedly, then all you can really do is tell them to. Can you not?
I mean, again, you don't have to be listen here, you fucker, which not suggesting that you would, but you just go, I've noticed you've used the wrong pronouns, or you've used the wrong name, or whatever. Would you mind using these instead? Because I know you didn't do it intentionally, but I just wanted to let you know. It's basically just how you explained it to us. Of it's a big change. You what is the whole you've had your whole life to figure this out. Give your loved ones a few minutes, kind of thing. Because again, sorry for the weak ass fucking answer.
We can only really give really vague things because it's not something we've had to do with ourselves.
Yeah, but no, good on you for coming. Good on you for being who you are, especially during.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah. Okay, that was the last question.
Okay. I think now I'm going to go and just douse myself in ice water because it's so fucking warm in my living room.
Yeah. One thing to actually mention before we wrap up. Is that for the foreseeable future of the MisanthroPod, we are going to be going to one podcast a month for a little while. Just because we're all
mental health fatigued, and because during these trying times, everything fucking sucks, and it's difficult to put out. You'll probably have noticed that I've been I haven't really done anything or whatever, and it's it does make you feel conscious, and it can make this stressful, and that's not good for mental health. So in the interest of that, we're going to be lowering, instead of 2 a month, we're going to be having 1 a month.
And not least, because we have done this. This is the 125th episode, so we've been doing this for literally years. So just taking a little bit of a break from it, so we don't get burnt out, and we might start trying some different things with the format of this show. Not saying what we'd be doing or if we're definitely going to do that, but just letting you know that things may change up a little bit here and there.
Just because it's good to have a bit of a change.
Yeah, just to keep things interesting for us more than anything else.
Yeah.
But
But yeah,
we'll see you in a month, I suppose.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for your questions. Please send more question in. 1 per person if that's okay. Okay, I love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care of yourself.
Bye.
Happy Pride. Bye.
Bye.